T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Trap Talk Reptile Network, Trap Talk with MJ, coolest reptile podcast in the world, episode 473. I'm your boy MJ. What is good, everyone? If this is your first time hanging out, if you're into keeping reptiles, do me a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, select all. You'll be on top of every single podcast, every single episode I drop here on this YouTube channel. You could also listen to any Trap Talk Reptile Network episode segment on all the major audio platforms, Buzzsprout, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Thank you to wherever you listen to any Trap Talk Reptile Network episodes. Shout out to Stephen Cush last night for dropping such an amazing episode last night with Rob Christensen. Highly recommend it. So by hitting that subscribe button, you get notified about even episodes like this that just come from the bloom and just hit you hard, man. But I gotta say, I've been looking forward to hearing Rob Christensen on a Trap Talk episode, and it's good to have Stephen Cush be the one to bring him to the forefront. So thank you so much, Stephen, for that. But yeah, shout out to the early birds, man. I think I just want to do things different tonight. Just go straight to the early birds tonight. I want to say I shout out one thing I like, and one thing that gets me excited is before an episode, checking in on a sound check. I see who's in the early birds, and I see some real ones in the early birds tonight. So I know tonight's going to be one for the books for sure, because we have the Podfather, as Brandon Wheeler says. And Brandon Wheeler, he's a nice guy. He does give a lot of people props, but this guy really, really loves Eric Burke and the Morelia Python Radio Network, holds it strong on that, and calls Eric Burke the Podfather. And I have to agree with him. This is going to be one for the books. Shout out to Brandon Wheeler. It's my boy out there, Morelia House, Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. And be ready, because we're going to be able to see Brandon here in the near future on some stuff to come. But shout out to William, man. And if you're in the live chats tonight, if you think that you have an important question or topic, whatever that we're talking about tonight, don't be shy with the super chats. You don't have to drop $100 like William. Holy shit, this is epic. But please don't be shy with the super chats. Drop a super chat tonight, and I will ensure you I get it on the big screen. Let's see what William has to say. Eric is the man. And again, William's the man too, by the way. I would say, like, fuck, William's the fucking man, just so you know. So for William to say that Eric's the man, this is like, just put the two and two together. Anyways, respect to William. Here we go. Eric's the man. NPR, Morelia Python Radio, has been one of my go-to podcasts from day one. William's been in the game for a while. Some of the most legendary episodes have been on NPR. MJ, you've had some great ones as well. Respect. He called it Rob St. Pierre. Ron St. Pierre, you just had, was great. Shout out to William. I got to say, William's yet to come on my show, and I'm already waiting for that moment, just like how Eric Burke should have been on my show, I feel like, a long time ago, but maybe not. I mean, I've come a long ways, and I think I'm matured enough to have Eric on my show. I don't think it would have worked out maybe pre-hand, but this is going to be great, and I think William, for sure, be ready. This guy will be coming to Trap Talk eventually at some point. Trap Talk Patreon member too. He's been a real deal homie and supporter since day one. So thank you so much, William, for that super chat and for that love for Eric. It's going to be a great show. The homie Meteoric Serpents, one of my heavy hitters, one of my hosts, coming up tomorrow night. Okay. Thank God It's Colubrid segment that I have going on. This is one of my co-hosts, him and along a good friend, Alvaro from Clover Reptiles. Don't want to miss. See, this is the young gun right here. This is the up and coming in the reptile podcasting game. And no, he just doesn't work with ball pythons a little bit, but I'm just saying, Colubrid guy, don't want to miss this. Don't want to miss this guy's passion when it comes to watching him do his thing on a podcast. So be ready for that episode tomorrow, episode 3. Thank God It's Colubrids with JD, aka Joe DeStefano, and Alvaro. Man, it's gonna go down. Shout out to my boy, Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. 1776 Exotics, Big Mike, OG, original Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Alex Oliver in the building, another Podfather Burke lover right here all day, every day. Appreciate you, Alex. Thanks for being here. My homie Shane, above all scales, his history's on its way to Shane tomorrow. Let's just say that. I don't want to drop too much, but this guy's picking up or taking more trap heat that I've had raising here for a while. And I'm excited for you, Shane, because I know you love your animals and you do right by them, and you have kids who love animals too. It's just a perfect combination. Anyways, my boy Shane Silva, above all scales. Trap Talk Patron member all day, every day. North W, Herpetological in the building. My homie Zach in the building. Trap Talk Patron member all day, every day. City Limit Exotics. Trap Talk Patron member all day, every day. Big things popping from my homie City Limit Exotics. Be ready. That's a fact. And shout out to the homie Randy P. All right, in the building. What's up, Randy? Thanks for tapping in. We're going to end things in style with Randy P, because I do want to let you guys know, first and foremost, before we continue, please support US Arc. Second link in description below. If you don't know what US Arc is, I'm helping you out. Click on that link, read all about it, sign up for legislation, alerts, and heads up. You just never know when it's going to be in your backyard. And also, it's all about just fighting for your animal rights. Be on this team. Be on the good team right here, man. All right, shout out to all the fellow reptile keepers who are US Arc members. Appreciate on being the same side as I am. US Arc, thank you so much. Phil Goss, thank you so much. You guys are all amazing. I want to say that tonight's episode is brought to you by the Chipper. All right, #1 substrate in the game. Go to COCO.com. Use promo code TRAPFAM24. Get 24% off your entire substrate order for the entire year. Huge. Thank you so much, the Coco dude. Appreciate you. And big things popping, and big things coming for sure. Also to the trap. Do want to say one thing I haven't talked about yet personally that has been talked about on the show, but I got to say, if you guys are able to make it down to Anaheim, California, May 17th or 19th, I highly recommend you checking out the Reptile Talks, which is something new, something amazing. Shout out to Rami, another great sponsor of mine from the Reptile Super Show, who's collaborating with a good friend of his, name's Jay, and also Armin. How can I forget Armin from Herp Time? But these three guys came up with the idea of coming up with some I don't want to call it a conference, or maybe it is a conference, but it's just a way to hear literally some awesome, detailed, just ideas of what's worked for them. Amazing, successful keepers out there. There's actually a list of speakers that are going to be at this awesome event. So if you go to reptiletalks.com, you can actually register. There's a hotel that everyone's already getting their hotels for. It's going to be great. So you're going to be able to catch me there. I'll be there. Bill Stiegel will be there. My boy Socrates will be there. All right. Just one of many names. John from Sim Container. So many legendary people are going to be at this show. So shout out to Rami, shout out to Jay, shout out to Armin for coming together. And the best thing about this, all the money that's made for this event gets sent over to US Arc. So this is mainly a big US Arc push. And what better way, man? So many people coming from all over the world for this event. That's amazing. So can't wait. Tonight's episode is brought to you by Juggernaut Reptiles. My man Elijah Armis and his wife Tiffany. Shout out to these two OGs in the game. Highly respect these two for sure. Elijah has been one of those guys I've been looking up to since coming into the game, ever since I've had that itch to get something else than a ball python. Elijah's that guy who used to throw that big. I mean, my big passion for bloods and short tails all came from Elijah for sure. And he's a man when it comes to short tails and bloods. So if you're in the market for short tails or bloods, mainly bloods, go check out Elijah Armis, Juggernaut Reptiles, and all the amazing other species of reptiles that he works with. It's going to be dope. All right. And again, shout out to everyone in the comments. I am ready to go. I am so pumped for tonight because Eric Burke, the man behind NPR Network, finally coming on Trap Talk Reptile Network. This is a baby network channel. I got a lot to learn from this guy. So this is going to be amazing. All right. So get the likes up. All right. Let's go. You guys should be just as pumped up as me and Brandon Wheeler, because I know Brandon Wheeler out there is pumped up and his kid Cash is pumped up, and you should be pumped up too, like us. And it should be that time where you got to do what you got to do to get your mind right. Right. Do what you got to do to stay hydrated. Your flask should have a Trap Talk or NPR sticker on it. Let's go. Dead ass serious. It's going to go down. Eric Burke, the man behind NPR Radio and EB Morelia. Tap in. Let's go.
Good.
You ready for do more in the future? Trap Talk podcasts?
Yes.
Man.
Only Trap Talk. Exclusive.
Yes.
Exclusive. Oh.
So stop calling us.
Rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the crop, gotta love it or not. I'm hot from the hop to the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with everybody, we do it. We do it.
And we're live with the one and only Eric Burke. What's up, Eric?
What's going on, man? I'm pretty pumped up from that intro. Damn. Yeah, man.
Well deserved though, man. Like I said, this is a crazy honor, okay? Only because, you know, it is what it is. You know, you get into something not really doing your homework and you think you're the only one doing it. You think you kind of get a chip on your shoulder, and that's what I did with this podcast in the beginning. I thought I was like, I don't want to say I thought I was the first person to do a podcast, but really thought the only one out there putting out good content. Mm-hmm. And boy, was I wrong, man. I once I started actually digging deep into what you were doing, I would say the Fight Club series that you have is what really grasped me into like what was going on, and realized that you had more than just you and your friends doing episodes. It was a whole network of people. And what an inspiration. I was like, dude, this guy is. And then obviously knowing Riley Jimison, shout out to Riley, by the way, for facilitating this tonight. Brandon Wheeler, who these two guys always rode for you, man. They just always show nothing but love and respect. Like they would come to me telling me how great I'm doing, but then also would like influence me for sure to bring you on and other people from the carpet python community. And just, I'm just saying, it's been a long road, and it's crazy to have you here now. And I cannot wait to have you here for a couple hours and just get to know you better, bro.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm excited. Yeah, Riley, Brandon, both great guys. Known them for a long time. Yeah, you know. Yeah,
and I gotta say, what the biggest things I'm already seeing in the chats is how people are already showing you respect, other than the podcast content you've been putting out. You're an actual reptile keeper, which is I love that, you know, because nowadays it seems like people picked up social media without the actual reptile experience, you know, but they're able to paint a picture like they've been doing it a long time. And if you kind of dig through a little bit, you realize, well, that's kind of not what it is, right? But you, my friend, you've been doing it. You've been all about it. And I want to know how it all started. You know what I mean? I have to know, you know, because it's like you're a creator of so many amazing things that are out there now. Carpet Fest, right? I mean, so let's kind of just get to the bottom of like you at like building a community or having a community of friends to start with, you know?
Okay. Well, actually that's kind of one of the things that attracted me to the Morelia community was just that. It was like, it was just awesome people that I just like hanging out with, you know? It was pretty awesome that we're all from different backgrounds and different ages, and somehow we had like this united thing, and, you know, it kind of brought us all together. But, I mean, NPR, I always felt like, I mean, this was back in 2007 is when I first started getting the idea for NPR. And there was a podcast back then called Reptile Radio, and they kind of focused on ball pythons. And, you know, that's the thing about reptile podcasts. Even if it's not the species that you keep, you could still learn so much from different people. And sometimes it's better to learn from looking outside the box than, you know, you get sort of regimented in your routines or your ideas or whatever. And then somebody comes along and like totally just uplift, you know, changes it. You're just like, what the hell? Blows your mind. But I was always into pythons. Over the years, I've kept 37 different species of pythons. Like William, Ryan Young, I wanted to have all the different species. That didn't necessarily work out because of space and time limitation. And I kind of felt like I either had to do NPR or like really go hardcore into breeding. And I kind of felt like my stamp on the reptile world was that whole NPR thing. So I sort of doubled down with that. Right. But it was just an idea that nobody was really talking about carpets or scrubs or chondros or, all the
Cool stuff, all the cool stuff.
yeah, the Indo-Australian type of pythons. And, I kept asking the reptile radio guys to sort of, can you talk about it? Can you talk about it? Can you talk about it? And then finally, it's funny, back then they were the only ones. So I asked them for permission. I had to ask for permission to start a podcast, but I said, would it be cool if I start a podcast, but do it what you're doing, but do it on Morelia instead? And they were like, hell yeah. What the hell are you asking us for? So that's kind of where it came from. And at first I did one episode solo, and that was just a train wreck. So that's when I put up an ad for looking for a co-host, and that's how Owen came along. And turns out that Owen lived 15 minutes away from me. We're into the same stuff. Perfect. So yeah, it was just no. And
is Owen techie? Is he the one who can know how to set shit up and all that, or no?
No. No, I had to learn all that. And that's the thing too. Yeah. Back then, there was no podcasting. Today is oh man, it's come so far. Yeah. Back then it was the audio was terrible. You had to have thousands of dollars of equipment in order to do it. But I felt like there was this group of snakes that nobody knew about, and there were so many misconceptions about. And I felt that I wanted to bring those people that I met and that inspired me with their keeping and just their approach and what they were doing. And it felt like they weren't getting any spotlight, so I was going to try to be the spotlight for them. So that's really how the idea.
Yeah, it's for me, it was just all about wanting to know more. And I knew there were so many amazing people out there. It was really kind of meeting people who like to just talk a lot, and there's a lot of people out there. I'm sure you have friends, that you've met or are friends with now that, you give them a question about something, they could just go for 2 hours, and I would say Forrest Fanning was one of my first friends like that. I would be on the phone with him for 3 hours. You know what I'm saying? But I'll be getting all this knowledge from him. And I'm and I'm learning all this stuff, and I just couldn't believe it. And that's when it him and I came with an idea of doing a podcast. But then I knew Forrest, the reason why he was the way he was is because all the people he was meeting, and all these people were making him this way. And so, and that's why I was this is nuts. There's all, and I was there's all these people out there, and COVID happened. I was let me just talk to them. And I was I wanted nothing from it. All I wanted was to have knowledge. I wanted to selfishly have knowledge to know how to be good with this shit. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's an element of that for sure. It was I'm getting a free, I'm doing the work to make the episode happen. But at the same time, you're getting a class. I mean, gosh, I've talked to people. It's been invaluable as far as, who I've met and what I've learned just from talking to people for 2 hours every week.
And the amount of people you've helped too, man. That's the biggest thing, right? Because I mean, I haven't seen you at any shows, and I can only imagine if you were hitting all the reptile super shows and NERBCs, people would definitely walk up to you and just thank you for not only helping them with their husbandry or whatever, but just getting them out of whatever mood. Like people, I didn't realize that people listen to us so they get out of whatever fucking funk they are having in their life, or a bad day or something. And I'm fuck, I didn't know I could help you like that. So, you with 500 plus episodes, close to 600, right? What are you, what are you at?
559, I think we are at.
Yeah, bro, that's fucking awesome. So a lot of people you've reached, man, and it's cool.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's there's nothing's better than when I get the message of, hey, I was having trouble keeping this or breeding this, and I listened to the episode that you did, and man, now then they have eggs, and then they have that, and then hatching out, and you're just oh, okay, well, it was worth it, what it was, we did it for a good reason, so
right.
I don't know, I don't really do the shows anymore because I've sort of been spending that time in Australia. I used to do Tinley Park all the time. That used to be my go-to place, but I'm usually in Australia in October, so.
Wow.
I've been doing that since 2018.
Okay.
Yeah. That's huge for me.
I can only imagine, one of the things, and I just had a kid, so right now it's hard to imagine going on a mission like that, but I do know at some point as I'm moving forward, the traveling thing I need to really experience. I just had David Kirshner on not too long ago, and I who David Kirshner is, I'm sure, right? All these monitor videos he put out and whatnot, which I religiously still watch to this day. I just I'll watch it, just go on a range or just watch it, right? But you know, he doesn't even agree about keeping them indoors at all now, and he used to keep them indoors. And just learning where he's at now that he lives in Australia, or now that he lives in Australia, he's out there, his mindset's different and whatnot. And I just see that people, you know, who are doing it right seem to graduate into closer things to where it's not even really about breeding anymore or even having it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think that's where I'm at. It's like I guess it's a natural evolution or whatever. You know, for years I did the breeding thing and the morph thing, and you know, I was producing like maybe, I don't know, 15 clutches of carpets a year. Damn. And it just became overwhelming. Doing the podcast and doing that became overwhelming. And I sort of, you know, we all go through that stage where you sort of have burnout. And that's sort of where I came to the thing. It's like, well, what do I want to do? Do I want to, you know, be a breeder, or do I want to do the NPR thing, or, you know, what do I want to do? So I decided the NPR thing. And and he's doing enough breeding for the two of us that I don't have to worry about it. But I still breed. It's not like I don't, but it's not like a focus for me. I say this all the time, but if there's a species you keep, it's invaluable to be able to get out into the environment and see what it's like to be in the environment. You know, it's just nothing can teach you more than that, in my opinion. You know?
Yeah, and just listening to people who are doing it and experiencing it and telling you their feedback from it is just valuable in itself. But imagine yourself seeing it and feeling it, your whole perspective, I'm sure, will change, and your perspective on it, like how you look at keeping reptiles. I already feel bad enough. Like I really starting to feel more and more like, holy shit, like, you know, I could do so much better, which we could always do. Like that's why I feel like no matter what you upgrade to,
sure,
it's still not going to be the best because they're still captive. They're still captive. You know what I mean?
Yeah. 100%.
But you know, but I do know that, just like how you know that you have certain unique animals on your hands, and all you can do is be thankful and take the best care for them. And that's dude, I love it. I just love that I'm in this position. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think now my focus has been, so like the first time I saw a python in the wild, it was, I don't know, man. I don't know how to explain it. It was just wild that, you know, there's a python. It's on the road. Like what the, you know, holy shit. Like
was that indoor or Australia?
That was Australia. Yeah.
Wow. Carpet or what
it was a carpet. Yeah. Yeah. It was a gelatin carpet. And, you know, just an idea like this, right? So like when we would drop temperatures to breed, you know, the go-to was like 70 degrees. And there was always this thing, you know, that, you got to watch. You can't get them too cold. They'll get respiratory infections, all this stuff. There's just probably Nido that was probably popping up in people's collections and stuff from that, but not really from keeping it too cold. But when I went there, it's 70 degrees and this thing's out hunting for food. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. The book says, you know, 70 degrees. And that's just not the case. You know, I don't know. You just learn so much different. And I know you're big, you're just talking about, what's his name with the lace monitors. Dude, I went to a park. It was a park, and it had to be, I don't know, 5 foot long up in a tree, huge lace monitor just there. And you're just like, what is going on right now? It's oh man, it's just nuts. You know?
Yeah, I guess they're like almost like a pest and a nuisance, I guess, to like the picnic, people having a fit. And I was like, that would be heaven. I'm like, eat with me all you want. Like I would purposely bring food for them. I don't know how smart that would be, but I would just be in heaven, you know? But, you know, kind of backtracking here, I do know that you are responsible for a lot of like go-to content for anyone in the carpet game. Like you are like from what I understand, when it comes to carpet python information, it was all because of NPR, you know, like everyone knows that from anyone back in the day who listened to carpet content. Right. But
yeah,
I got to ask, you know, it's coming to me, like obviously Nido has been out there for a long time. Right. And it's always been a thing, but why wasn't it always talked about? And when was it something that you guys didn't avoid talking about on the show? Like, was it something you guys were quiet about at first because you didn't know how people would react, or did you not care and go right into it? Because I know there was a point. Okay, correct me if I'm wrong. Cody Bartolini was one of the first people to really come out to kind of express his experience and what he went through with Nido and his chondro collection.
Yeah,
and then I heard people started being more upfront about it after that. And I don't know how that was with you guys on the show. You know what I mean?
Well, as far as us on the show, I mean, we've done we've talked to Cody, we've talked to Pia, we've talked to multiple people about Nido. It wasn't like, this is the thing, and this is sort of why the network sort of started. The thing about Nido is I don't like to talk about things that I don't know 100%, right? Because I don't want to put information out that I don't want to put out the wrong information, and I don't want to steer somebody in the wrong direction. One of the things that I get from listening to podcasts a lot of times, especially when they talk about carpet pythons, is like, they'll put information out that's somewhat right, but it's not 100% right. And then the person that's coming into reptiles that maybe wants to get into carpets are even more confused than before. And then as far as like, we did Carpet Fest and raised 10 grand for the research for Nido. So it wasn't like, you know what I mean? It wasn't like we were trying to dodge it.
Hey, who did someone pay Ian Bessel to be such a hustler behind? Dude, that guy, bro, oh my God, man.
Yeah, man.
Ian, man. Yeah. But I'll never forget that year. It was right before COVID. It was the last big Carpet Fest before COVID, right? Yeah. And he was hustling. You have any animals? You have any this? You want any this one? And I'm sure you got real competitive about it. Like I'm sure you wanted to gather as much money. And that's why I was like, hey, it's all for a good cause. But man, did he get on everyone's bumper? That's for damn sure, bro. He was not playing.
Yeah, no. Yeah, we had another two people that come to mind that are actually really knowledgeable when it comes to viruses. One is my good friend Justin Julander. That's what he does for a living. Shout out to Justin Julander. Wow. So we brought him on to talk to him about it, and who was the other one? I'm drawing a blank. It was Justin, and it doesn't matter. But anyway, we got him on, and we talked about just again. I don't know about you, but like sometimes when it gets into that more like really academic type of stuff, like I'm a nerd when it comes to snakes, but like there's a certain level to it, and again, I just don't want to put out information that's not right. And at the same time, Buddy and Bill were doing GTP Keeper Radio, and we were sort of like, they had Cody and Pia on, and they were talking to them, and it felt like I don't want to do the same episode as them. You know what I mean? So it was like we waited a little bit and then did it. So,
dude, but listening to an episode of GTP Keeper Radio just takes you back to like a fucking like listening to your dad's AM station in the car or something. I was like, what am I listening to right now? Like the way it sounds, it's like back in the day.
That's how it was.
And it's great because like that's how I grew up.
Yeah.
But also it's like, man, did they go through some like, because it's kind of just you got to work with what you have, And back then, like, they produced everything themselves. Like, and think about the radio stations who have the resources and the finances to have production and stuff like that. They still made it happen really awesome. I feel like before having all amazing, like now it's like there's kits out there on how to do a podcast. Like go to Amazon, type in podcast kits, and you can fucking get the light kit. You'll get everything. And it's like, back then, there was none of that shit, But I feel like that's what makes GTP Keeper Radio fucking like what it was, because there's going to be never that radio sound like it once was. You know what I mean? Like it's all transitioned down. You know what I mean?
That's the shit. We used to get a lot of shit for that back in the day. It was like, because we ran on the same thing. We ran on that Blog Talk thing, and it was, the sound was terrible. It was terrible, but you sat through it because we're the only ones doing it. There was nobody else. It was it. So if you wanted to listen to that, I think there was like maybe 2 other podcasts at the time. And that was it. So there's like a total of 4 reptile podcasts, So
hey, what do you think about there being over 100 now?
It's crazy, man.
That's crazy.
It's nuts, but hey, man, more power to them. I can't even keep up with it. I used to listen to all of them, and now I can't. I can't keep up with it. I
mean, I feel like if your reason of doing it is why our reason was like we're just trying to be selfish about knowledge and like talk about experience. That's great, because let's be real. If you think this is going to be something that could lead to like a career, like or something like that, YouTube's going to pay. Like it's, bro, you know how ridiculous it is as far as they get money from YouTube. Like people don't understand. It's like even people out there getting 20, 30,000 views, that's not money they can live off of. You know what I mean? Like not even close. But it's just all about kind of building a community and people like you just have to want to be in this for the long run. And if you're good at, if you have that first and foremost, and you want to build a community, then then yeah, start a podcast. That's great. But if you're doing it just because, it's like having those people come in and already get a logo and get a sticker and get shirts. And it's like, dude, what? And like, you have two snakes. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
But it's like to each their own too, because I can't judge. I came in this in a weird situation in my 30s and just like hit it off running. And a lot of people think I've been doing this for a long time, and I haven't. I'm still in a sense wet behind the ears. You know what I'm saying? But I would really love this. And if you obsess over this, Eric, and you do it right for at least 5 years, you mature quickly as far as like, oh yeah, like these animals help you fucking grow in life, man.
Yeah, I think yeah, oh man, yeah, 100%. I couldn't agree with that more. Like me in 2000 and when did we start NPR? 2011. Me in 2011 as opposed to me in 2024 is like completely different person. But I man, yeah, for a while we used to kind of get into the drama, and it was always it was easy to get people to listen if you were doing that. And I sort of challenged myself.
But it's the wrong people though. That's the thing.
Yes,
like, you end up getting like a big wave of people who are like so irrelevant, but like they're miserable. And so it's kind of like, wow, I got really big views or listens, but like, look at my comment section. Like, holy shit, look who's in there.
Yeah. It was, I was talking, and, at one point, I don't know, I was kind of thinking like, what could we do to improve NPR? Kind of like look at it every year and try to see what it was. And then I think it was Keith McPeak that talked to me, and he's like, Eric, you're busting your head against the wall, and think of the people that you've spoken to. Like, so what if you know what I mean? And I'm just like, oh yeah, that's a good point. Okay, fair enough. But yeah, I don't know. It's the drama thing was always kind of like, even for myself, like even drama that I would start myself, like this type of thing. I couldn't stand how I sounded when I would say things like to put something down in order to bring carpets up. Right. So it would be like, oh, carpets are the best. And, you're going to have this poking back and forth for sure, whatever. But you don't want to constantly be like, ball pythons suck, and carpets are the best, and blah, 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 blah. Just say carpets are the best.
That's Riley. That's Riley right there for sure.
Yeah. You love yeah, I don't know, man. That's things like that I just learned. And the network sort of started because I felt like, people were looking for content in other species of snakes and stuff. And we were such a niche type of podcast that I didn't want to talk about colubrids because I didn't think I would do it justice. So we got two people that are way better than I'll ever be talking about colubrids, and that's sort of how that came about.
Yeah, and it's funny because I love talking about, like I said, I started this selfishly. I like to talk about with what I work with and what I currently geek out over. Like when I'm researching is not something I don't keep, unfortunately. And that's why I respect all the real deal herpers out there. But like, I'm like, unless it's something I keep, I'm not going to go look for it. Like, I know I have like hots in my area and stuff like that, but I'm okay. Like I'm like I'm too busy trying to figure this shit out for whatever reason. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I do know like I'm just one of many geeks out there who don't work with, like, there's people out there on the other end who don't work with what I work with, but work with the shit that they want to learn that they work with. Right. And there's just people out there who could bring that content a lot better than I can. Because they work with it. And when you have someone who has the connection like that, you can't really match that. You know what I'm saying?
There's questions that you would ask or topics that you would bring up that are going to be more relevant to you because you can see it in real time. Or if there's an issue that would happen with a certain species or whatever it would be, you're going to have more hands-on experience. And it's not to say that you can't read a book and learn that stuff, but there's something to be said about, actually working with, the animal that you're talking about. So
since we're on the topic of drama, and we're going to move on after this, but I have to bring this up for sure, because there definitely was a big reason why I had no interest in the carpet community, like zero whatsoever for like almost 3 years.
Oh,
And,
shit.
you know, I mean, let's be real. I mean, and Ian, I love you, buddy, but I'm gonna have to throw you under the bus right now. There was but this also brought me closer to Riley and also to the carpet community now, right? But there was a group chat that you guys had on Facebook. I can't say if you were in there, but I'm pretty sure you were because it was every NPR people or every like, and I don't know, Riley's
listening. The NPR chat. Yeah.
It could be, yeah. And so I was just now starting. This could have been just right after Forrest passed away, and I just had my trap talk, and I was brought up or something like that, and I definitely may have overread, but bottom line, Ian Bessel took a snapshot of that thing and showed me what you guys were saying, and I went off the deep end. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm just a new guy trying to fucking have a good time and look at these guys and how they think about me. But I also knew that people like seeing me upset. Like they were like, holy shit. Like, yeah, MJ, like, so that's where I kind of grasped with drama in the very beginning. I realized that, you know, I could be dramatic. Like I could be myself and people are going to fucking like it. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
But also people appreciate when you are keeping it real and authentic. But it was definitely something that like I that grudge I held on for way too long. But either way, like it brought me to fruition with where I'm at now with Riley, Brandon Wheeler, you know what I'm saying? Because it was very quick. That little situation, I got on the phone with Riley, he explained everything and whatnot. But it's so easy to have drama be a part of anything that you're doing if you want it to be. You know what I'm saying? Like,
sure,
you have to be an enabler for that to be anything relevant for you, because it's easy to block out too, right? Like how easy would it have been for me to look at that and said, okay, I don't care, but I really cared. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, shit, man. There was people talking about me coming on here. You know,
there you go. Okay.
And I'm getting screenshots and this and that. And I'm just like, come on, man. Like, you know, I
love it. It's so like, but anyways, continue.
Not the carpet people. It was other people, you know, and they were just like, you know, talking about me coming on here. And I was like, I don't know the guy. What do I have against the guy? You know, I think if I'm being honest, a couple times like listening to your show, it was, I did respect you majorly for the things you did with the retic stuff and the Samson stuff. And I was like, good for him, man. He's fucking bringing out, then you saying a name. It's not like the bullshit.
Yeah.
Where you hide, oh, you know, this person. And
no, fuck that. I lost some relationships, you know, out of that. And honestly, I don't give a shit, to be honest, because it's not, you know, the problem with the retic world, I don't know what it is now because I don't even pay attention to it, but there's so much hush hush, you know, that has been going on for so many years on the bigger end of the retic world. And even then, there's still people sticking to their guns who rather not talk about it and just, you know, and that's the thing. It's like shun the other way because it affects their collection, which I understand when you have a bunch of retics and that's what you do.
Yeah, sure.
I get it. But for me, I was smart enough to fucking pivot, not be in that situation, but know that I still love retics and they should not be fucking neglected. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if you got yourself in a room full of 40 mainlands, but you better figure it out now. And if you can't, and they're fucking each other up and they're busting out or they're dying, then do something about it. You know, that's right. But that's the thing, you know, I don't know. I'm glad that's over, to be honest.
Yeah, for sure. But, you know, I think like, you know, it's probably too like, you know, I think the couple episodes that I heard you talking was like ball python centric. Then, you know, it's not that I don't like ball pythons, but it's kind of like, I don't know. It's old. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, okay, I heard that before. Yeah. And now that there's so many reptile podcasts, it's kind of like you can be choosy about what they are. And there's going to people that feel the same way about me. And that's fine. I'm okay with that.
90+% of these reptile podcasts are ball python podcasts. That's the thing. It's all kind of all vanilla, like cookie cuttered fucking mimicked all the way through now. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
But I'm okay with that because at the end of the day, like that's ball pythons are here for saturation. Like there are always going to be the biggest thing that people are pulled in with. And that's good because eventually there's a percentage of that saturation that says, I want to work with something else. Or I'm just not really content with just ball pythons. Like, because if you really do love if you really do love reptiles, and God forbid you have the space and it's not like anything that you can't keep, then you should dabble into something else for sure. I feel like, because why would you want to cut yourself short?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, major respect to the ball python world. I mean, come on, man. There's nothing there's nothing close
with
in
that.
the snake world, you know. And like, I just look at it like this, and it's all about perspectives, right?
I'll be right back. I can hear you. Keep talking.
Yeah. It's all about perspectives, to where it's sort of like, you know, I think they're just into something different than what I'm into. Like for me, I'm into trying to figure out how a snake works. Like what is, you know, Vin Russo said this perfectly. And I say this all the time. It was like when he was talking about, you know, boas and morphs and stuff like that. And he's like, yeah, I'm more interested in how the engine runs rather than the paint job of the car. And that's sort of where I'm at, you know, but I think of like the ball python world, and like they're making these crazy, insane combos and this and that and genes and together, and they could just look at a snake and say, oh, this is, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I don't know, man, much respect for that, but it's just not my thing. And that's okay. You know what I mean? And it's sort of like, you know, you just don't have to be into this in order for it to be something, but don't be jealous of it. You know,
that's the thing. Like it's kind of like getting mad at someone for the way they dress, in a sense. Like, even though, especially nowadays, you can't, because you'll get fucking blasted on TikTok. But I'm saying, everyone has preference. Like, you know, there's people. I can't believe there's people out there who like black licorice. I think that's one of the most disgusting things.
I love it.
Yeah, but some people love it. You really, Eric? You really like it? Wow, that's nuts. But so, like, it's like that's a thing. Like, don't hate on someone for that's your
man. It's what makes the world go round, you know. It's what makes it an interesting place, you know.
If you have that attitude in the ball python game into today, you'll be successful. Like, if you don't give a shit about trends and like who's doing what already, and you have the eye to find something that just interests you, and you find quality. Yeah, man, that goes for anything. Like, you could be successful in anything if your heart's in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if it's because I'm getting older. I don't know. It's just I don't know, man. I just don't want negativity in my life. So as soon as something is negative, I move it.
Yeah,
it's out. You know what I mean? It's out, you know.
Yep. So. And yeah, man, I'd feel like I'm on a good run, just kind of ignoring all that shit now. And I feel like I don't even have the in me no more to kind of pursue anything that is just not related to animals. Like, I don't know why I would even want to have a podcast that is set, you know, right there, it says Trap Talk Reptile Podcast. Why wouldn't I just want to keep it about the reptiles? You know what I'm saying? And that's what I just got to remember. This is here for me to fucking be not, you know, trying to learn more and learn from the best doing it, you know?
Yeah. I think that's sort of like where I pivoted with NPR, where I stopped focusing, let's say, on the people part, not saying that there's not people in the world that should be, you know, that should be celebrated. But to me, I wanted to make it about the animals and not the market or the this or that. There's plenty of people that do that. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's sort of like finding your niche. What is your niche? You know, find what it is and sort of do your thing. And I will never knock somebody for doing what they, you know, whatever they think, whatever makes them happy about it. You know, if you get listeners about it, then that's awesome. If you don't, you know, it is what it is. I would still do NPR, still be doing it if nobody listened. You know, it's just, I like doing it.
How does NPR, like the NPR community, mainly like you and all your hosts, feel about, like, you know, the YouTube content creators that aren't, like, I'm not talking about podcasts. I'm talking about, like, you know, people like Jay and, you know, other Floridians and just people who'd put reptile content and make money off YouTube that way. I mean, do you guys not even try to put any attention on stuff like that, or is it ever talked about? Like, I know, you know, there's a lot of people who aren't fans of venomous handlers out there and whatnot. I'm just curious if was there ever a moment you guys ever addressed any of that shit or talked about it?
Yeah, I know this is sort of one of those things that we'll often struggle with, because I think as content creators, you have I don't know if responsibility is the right word, to sort of make sure that the community is being shown in a positive light. But I kind of feel like the more attention that you bring to it, you're putting it in the light. So just kind of let it go. I mean, as far as us talking about that kind of stuff, I don't know, man. We don't really get into that. Who cares? I guess I look at it as, if I spend time trying to figure out what's going on with them, then that's less time that I'm going to be learning about carpets. You know?
And listen, I can't say they're all doing it wrong, because everyone at the end of the day evolves, they get better, and shout out to those people who do that. But the ones who are solely in here motivated to make the paycheck, and that's the thing, man. Like it could all start fine and dandy. Like, I'm all here to show people how to do this right. And when you realize some of the stuff you're putting out that's pretty fucking nuts and crazy is bringing you the most views, you get accustomed to that, and that's all you shoot for. And that's why I feel like some of these guys are in so deep. They rather detach from all the respect they have in the community. They don't give a fuck who likes them, because they're getting that, they're chasing that last bit of YouTube check that they can get before it's all gone. You know what I'm saying? And you have to do the stupidest, craziest shit to even get remotely amount of money that you used to get back in the day. Like, it's a whole different ballgame than how YouTube pays you. And everyone's affected by it. Everyone is. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, man. I never looked at. I mean, it would be nice if I did NPR as a living, but I mean, I don't know. I've been doing my job for 24 years, so it's kind of like.
What's your job, dude?
I run a supermarket.
Oh, tight! Wow, you're in the what is that industry called? The
I guess it's like the grocery industry. Yeah,
dude, that's no joke, bro. That's a lot.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
Holy shit! And you've been doing that for 24 years.
Yeah.
So you have 14-hour plus days for sure. I'm assuming.
Or
not anymore.
Like, nah, not so much anymore. Maybe 10, 11.
Well, I asked because was there ever a moment where the store was down and you had to fucking be there longer and like just that's why I say one of the the reason why I will never go back to a real job is because my last job I had 9 to 5, I guess, wasn't 9 to 5. It terrified me, and I ran an Office Depot.
Right.
And it was the most crazy time of my life. Like, that's how I understand suicide after that. I'm not joking. Like, I understand why people off themselves, because what's the point? Like, there was just that much being sucked out of me. Pause. But I'm just couldn't believe it. Right. But also, like, I just wish I didn't have a passion for retail, first and foremost. What am I going to do with that? Right. But there has to be something that you really love about what you do. Like, what is it that makes you want to stick out a job like that for 24 plus years? That's crazy.
I don't know, man. I think when I was younger, I thought I was going to be a guitar player. That's really what I wanted to do. So I sort of did that job as a side thing and did guitar as like the full-time thing. And then, I guess I got married and, life happens and stuff like that. And I wanted expensive snakes. So, it's sort of, you need that income. It's probably the money I make,
Yeah. I mean, it feeds the addiction, which is a good addiction, right? It's not a, and what's crazy is, I hate this, but it is what it is, right? Like, if you have something that is not only rare and unique, but it's beautiful, it's long-term captive, that's quite a bit of an asset right there. Like, that thing is worth something, like, at some point. Yeah. And I've come to realize a lot of ways I've been able to elevate and evolve is because of that exact reason. I've had stuff for the last 5 years that is just sought after now, either colubrids or whatever that I have.
Sure. Yeah.
And that's why I'm like, man, this is such a beautiful industry to be in, because, it does so many things for you in a sense. Like, if you do it right, if you do right by it, the reward, like, as far as like what opportunity it could bring you is like next level. I just feel like, but also you have to be paying attention too, right? And I do know this podcast created a lot of addictions for me as far as certain species I wanted to work with. But I gotta tell you though, like the chondros and the emeralds, that all started with just becoming friends with forests. Like that's really when my shit started really taking off. But I hate talking about money and reptiles, but it is what it is. Like, money could come from reptiles in the right place if you're doing it right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And that's why I will always have ball pythons. I'm not going to, all this was all possible from ball pythons, me having really, really good back-to-back ball python seasons. That's what it was.
I think, like you take somebody like Owen, right? I've been telling him for years that, if he's going to do pythons, that he should probably get a couple different types of ball pythons if he's going to do shows all the time. He went a different route. He does like a mix of colubrids and pythons and, all kinds of crazy stuff like that. And now he's in a good spot to where when he's at a show, he has so much variety that he's cleaning up, you know? So like
Yeah.
he was smart in how he got there. Whereas like with me, I don't have that. It doesn't click in my brain like that. It's like, I only like what I like. And if you don't like it, oh, well, I have it, but then I won't breed it and sell it, you know, but some people are geared where they want to be a, you know, be a vendor and be a show. And to me, I think you would have to, I would almost recommend you having ball pythons. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but I mean, especially getting into it now, like, man, you have to be geared in the right way. It's like, to where like you're solely just looking for unique projects that are really untapped. And that's the beauty I will say about ball pythons, even to this day. There's so many fucking morphs out there that there are shit that people are just overlooking right now. And if you kind of just, you know, do it right and know how to, you know, but then again, it's like, you don't know where ball pythons are even headed right now. There's a lot of people getting out. There's a lot of people freaking out. You know, show sales are definitely not what they used to be right now for ball python booths. I'll tell you that much. I'm not saying everyone's tanking, but like, it's kind of a nerve wreck. I feel like if I were going into a big show and all I have was ball pythons, I'd be shitting myself. I'd be shitting myself because I would be like, what am I going to price these at? Like, how do you know what you're competing with how people are slashing the prices, how they are doing in the ball python game? It's fucking, it's brutal.
Yeah. I guess it's, what do you equate that to? Just the amount of people that are in it?
So basically, I will say 2020 was the biggest push for people wanting to breed ball pythons, but they were investing. Everyone was investing in the same shit. Like, you know, this morph desert ghost, right? Which is still really great to this day, but everyone jumped on that train. The recessive game, like the recessive game was like, everyone needs to get recessives, right? But in a sense, everyone got the same shit. And so these COVID breeders now, 2023, 2024, are all breeding the same combos, and they're all out there. And it's not a rarity as they once were in 2020. You know, we're talking like a $10,000 snake to a $2,000 snake now, $3,000 snake now. Like, there's people butchering the price of this combo every day now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that would be my only criticism, I guess, of like the, you know, of maybe ball pythons or reptiles in general, but like with ball pythons, like I don't, and it could be just how I'm geared, right? I'm geared to be a selective breeder. I want to take the best of female and the best male of whatever carpet it is and put them together and make the best babies that you can make. Like, there's thought put in, even if it's a morph on one side. You know, if I have a zebra carpet and I want to breed it, I'm not going to breed it to some ugly ass jungle carpet. I'm going to breed it to the best jungle carpet I can get because I want to make insane, you know, zebras. And I think that and again, this is just my outside observation, is that there's not a lot of thought that's going into the other snake that's in the thing. So if you're breeding, like, I don't know, let's say desert ghost, what are you doing to knock that up a notch and not just put it with another morph? Like, are you selecting for the pattern? Or are you selecting for the color? Is one stand out in the clutch and you're holding that back? Or like, you know, I don't know. And it could just be how my brain works when it comes to python breeding. But like, I don't see, and it's like, nobody has the vision to say, like the Kabilka vision, right? It's like, he just can say, okay, I'm going to put this with this, and, you know, out and pops this insane snake. And then everybody sort of jumps on that train to sort of catch up. Whereas I think if you maybe worked with what you liked, and isn't there a guy that like just breeds Exantics and his like Exantics are just insane? Yeah.
JT, like, that's, man, you want to talk about, his show, man. Nobody has a table like JD. You know what I'm saying? Crazy. All black and white. It's nuts. But that's what I'm talking about. Like, you know, and there are other people who have their stamp like that already in the ball python game. Like, that's, but like, that took years for them to do. You know what I'm saying? And the biggest train people jumped on, which was the wrong train, was, oh, you got a cool DG clown combo? Sell it. No, don't. Because if you do that now, their value's gone, first and foremost. You can just hold on to that and just level it up. Like, put something in it where nobody could fuck with that price. Like, now you're in a good position, but everyone was selling what they should be holding back. And that's why it's like, and mainly, guess what? Because they have to sell it. They need the money. That's the thing. People are selling snakes because they need money. That is the problem. You don't do ball pythons for that. This is a fun game. This is just supposed to be for like Monopoly. Like, you don't put yourself in a position where you're like, I need to pay my bills. I need, like, that's where people are fucking up. But there's so many of them right now in that position, you know. But you know, Yeah, it sucks, but it also will learn from it. Like
Yeah.
I feel like people who stick it out will be like, well, fuck, I'm gonna pivot this way. Maybe may even have to let some stuff go, which you're actually looking out there. A lot of people are letting go of collections right now. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because might be a smart thing to do. Maybe they're realizing, how am I going to keep feeding this shit that I'm supposed to hold back? That is just, if I have no money coming in, which, mind you, a lot of people are able to keep their ball python stuff going because they're able to sell shit, and that pays for the rats, that pays for this. And then guess what? When all that ball python money stops coming in, how are you paying for the rats? Out of your own pocket, right?
Right.
And that can only go so long. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's that's sort of how I got into carpets. It was like, I remember, God, geez, man, there was like maybe 20 ball python morphs when I was like, I had a copybook, and I'm like, oh, if I get this spider and I get 3 pastel females, and and I do this, and I can make 4 bumblebee clutches and all, and it's like, yeah, that was fun. But then I started to think like, well, now I'm just following everybody else.
Yeah.
Said, I have these carpets over here. When I got when I was like 33, I got divorced, and I had to move out of my house, and I took all my snakes that I had at the time, which was mostly Burmese pythons and a couple carpet pythons, but I took them to my parents' house and put them in their basement, and the Burmese pythons did terrible. Carpet pythons, bulletproof. Like it's like 40 degrees in the basement. As long as I have the hot spot, they're under the thing and whatever, get down that cold at night. And they were rock solid. And, I was like, well, maybe I should work with them. There's not a lot of people working with them. So I started looking it up, and it was like, I paved my own road. It was like, I didn't follow what other people were doing. I just sort of did what I wanted to do. And I mean, I don't know. That's why I try to preach to people. It's like, just because, nobody really likes scrubs right now, shit, man, make them like scrubs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's why I love
all over the place. It's
Stephen Cush, man. He ain't fucking around, bro. That kid right there.
100%.
Dude, he because at the end of the day, like, and sad, today was a day I let go of my whole breeding group of Barnecks. They all went to Steven, so they went to a good place. They went to Scrub Kingdom. But anyways, like, man, like you really put time into a snake like a scrub python, even though if you don't know about reptiles and you come and see an adult scrub python, shit, even if you do work with reptiles, an adult scrub python is an impressive fucking thing, like, to see, right?
Yeah.
You realize one that's been worked with, one that has been comfortable with, been taken out. They're the most majestic fucking things on earth, man. People, I don't know why people only think Bolins are like the heavy breathers. That's not fucking true. The scrubs breathe just as heavy. You know what I'm saying? If not heavier. And I'll never forget the first time I ever saw an adult Moluccan with Steven, at his place.
Right.
And he took it out, and it's in the sunlight. And I just realized, like, I look at Steven, I'm like, I get it, bro. Like, I understand why. Because it's like, think about it, for ticks to get a start over, right? Because ticks are just, it's just too bad, but it is what it is, right? But scrubs are big. They're not a retic, but they're also long.
Right.
They're big. They can almost get the same like label as a retic if they fuck it up, right? If you're not smart, but they have a clean slate right now. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Even though there are a lot of people out there who still say that they're aggressive, which they can be, right? But just like almost anything can be, it's like you can't just label anything because you saw it one time being aggressive and label the whole species aggressive. Like, I mean, I've seen so many snakes, so many scrubs that Steven's pulled out himself that are, didn't even need a hook. You know what I'm saying? And I know he has a certain way about feeling about that as well. But I feel like, Eric, you just got to let your experience be your best teacher. And Steven obviously found his lane. We could all agree to that,
100%.
But the scrubs.
Yeah, man, I had Halmaheras, Tannenbars, Moluccans, Barnecks, Southerns, I had it all, like every possible, I don't know. I had like a group of 6 Moluccans. I had a group of, I don't know, I've had maybe 10 Halmaheras. But back then, like nobody, I remember it was our first season. I think it was our 5th show. And I was so excited about this show, man. We were getting Blake Bauer to come on. There's never been anybody on a podcast, reptile podcast, to talk about scrub pythons for that reason. I'm so pumped. I got so sick. And I couldn't do it. So I'm like sort of like at I wasn't talking. Owen was talking, but he didn't know anything about scrubs. and he's sort of reading my notes and trying to make sense of it or whatever. But like just from Blake talking about, you know, just different species of scrub python, it was like that moment where, you know, you sort of would see it maybe on forums or stuff, but it was like, I don't know, you had to know somebody in order to, you know, get information like that. And back then they were Morelia, so they were sort of like in my wheelhouse. And I don't know, I was really excited to be able to like put them on the, not on the map, but like to get people to even hear about them, you know, because the ball python guys, they didn't want to talk about them. And you know, then Owen, he got into it heavy for a while, and he had all types of scrubs too. And then I don't know, it just became one of those things where it's like something else came up and another project came in your lap or whatever, and I wanted to have a different carpet python morph or something that just came out, so I would sell that. And sometimes I wish I didn't sell the Moluccans, but it is what it is.
Hey, do you want to know something funny, man? Oh my gosh. And this is because I have a pair of United States captive born and bred Moluccans. I completely forgot the guy who fucking bred them, but I don't give a shit. But these right here were like, I got someone who hit me up and asked me, hey, are you willing to, like, I know I just heard you say on a podcast you're letting your Barnecks go to Steven. What would you be willing if someone wanted your Moluccans? And I fucking laughed at him because I'm like, I've heard this case by so many people, right? I think Marshall Mendes told me he sold a basin for $30K because like he wanted the guy to go away, right? But he threw a stupid ass number and the guy agreed to it and like couldn't believe it, right? So I was ready for this kind of scenario, right? I was like, I wanted him to go away. So I was like, you know, he's like, I have something in mind. I'm like, okay. I was like, I'll entertain what you're going to tell me. Please tell me what you have in mind. Right. And he ended up, you know, one of my biggest things is chondros, right?
Yeah.
But man, this guy, he had a pair, a designer pair that was just like, holy shit. And he had neonates from it, holdbacks. You know what I mean? They're all doing great. He had 6 of them. And I don't, you know, I was like, yo, are we talking all 6 here? Or what are we talking? You know what I mean? But it was like it was a Bill Stiegel production. I think it was, I don't want to say sickness, but it was a really heavy designer Bill Stiegel. And the other one was from Dave D. So it was like a really insane pairing, right? Like these, we're talking like $8,000-$9,000 neonates each, right? So, and so I was like, I threw my hands in there because I was like, God damn it. Like this could be, like, I'm just thinking about it, right? And I just shared it with my Patreon members and some of my friends, like in the chats, and bro, everyone shut me down. Like that is the stupidest idea ever to fucking trade off those Moluccans. And as you're telling me this, I'm staring at them. I'm like, yeah, I think you're right. And you know, I do hear a lot of stories of people letting go of stuff that they wish they'd never let go of, and some of that stuff is unattainable. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I didn't want to be that guy, so I held on to him for sure. And I'm happy. I come in every morning and I look at them. I'm like, I'm glad you're still here. You know? Yeah,
that's good, man. Yeah, don't let them go, because you never know when they, you know, if they shut Indo down or something like that, you might not be able to get them.
That's scary to think about. Can I be real with you though? Like, when is this, for as long as back you could think of, when has that been a scare for you? Like in your friends, like, oh shit, can they shut down Indo? Like, has that always been in the talks?
Yeah. Maybe like 2014, I guess, is sort of like where I started to hear stuff like that. You know, I don't know if they'll ever do it or not, but I know the difficulties that I face as a carpet python person when the majority of them come from Australia. So you're sort of limited on what you can have and what, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like, that's sort of what led me to really focus in on the Papuan carpets. Like, again, everybody, even within the carpet python world, when I got into carpet pythons, everybody was doing jungles. It was jungles. That's all anybody cared about. Jungles and jags, jungle jags, you know, giant diamond jungle jags. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go with this other one, because I think that, there's a lot of breeding that can be done. There's so much potential, and not to mention the fact that I can get imports that I can have like strong bloodlines, and like I can outcross and all these things. And at first, nobody cared. Every time I would talk about them on NPR, there would be like, Papuan carpets, you know, dirt snakes, earth tone snakes, whatever it would be. And then I don't know. I guess that it was just, I was so excited about them that people finally started to like them. And now you have like Riley, he's like big time into them, and you know, and he's doing a great job with them. But Yeah, I don't know. It's sort of like one of those things where, and that's sort of what I was saying earlier, where you can sort of, you know, if there's people out there that maybe are looking for something different, if you're there and you're fucking psyched about it, people are going to get into it. They're just going to be like, oh yeah, I'm right there with you. That's awesome. I never looked at that. I never saw this species. I didn't even know they existed, you know, like stuff like that.
Dude, everything's built off hype. I'm telling you. But and I'm not saying hype's a bad thing all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like some stuff deserves it. And the thing is, like, you know, one thing I always liked about people like you, Riley and Brandon, you guys are hyping up something that needs more hype. Like we're talking like more eyes and attention, only because it's, you know, it's a lot more than just certain things that are popularized due to money. Like I know I just said reptiles and money are like go hand in hand, but at the end of the day, like a lot of that's bad because people are only coming in because they see the money. You know what I'm saying? And it can't be that way. Like that's like money just has to come naturally or just how it comes. Like it can't be something you put on the whiteboard. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't know. I've always approached NPR, EB Morelia, all those things like I'm just going to do my lane. I'm going to stay in that lane. I'm going to stay focused on what I'm doing, and people will come along for that. That stuff will all work out. As long as I'm putting in the work, all that other stuff will work out. And it did, you know, it has, you know.
Because like I said, it's back to building that community, and you'll find real ones that just love what you're doing and they stick around.
I would rather have 100 people that were like diehard NPR people, and then to have, you know, hundreds of thousands of people that were not really.
Or imagine having 4 million subscribers or followers, right? Who are most of them aren't even from this world, but no interaction. There's no engagement. Like and the people that you should be talking to, you're not even caring about. Like, and it's like, fuck that. Like, I rather keep it niche. Like, cause I'm here for a reason. Like I'm here because I love the animals, man. Like that's what it's all about.
Yeah. Yeah. When I started NPR, people told me that I was dumb for doing it and that there's nobody that will listen to it. And that, shit, man, even Nick Mutton told me, he's like, what are you doing, man? You can't do a podcast every week on carpet pythons. And he's the fucking carpet python guy. And he's like, you can't do it. And I'm just like, there's people that do, and there's people that talk. I'm a doer, not a talker. So I'm going to do it.
Hey, Nick is something else, bro. That guy's fucking hilarious, bro.
Yeah. And then that was the same thing with Carpet Fest. Everybody talked about it, you know, because it's kind of like the chondro people did it first. And then over on the MP forums, which is more carpet people, it was MVF, which was more chondro people, and the MP forums was more of the carpet people. But they would talk about it like, oh, let's do a Carpet Fest. Let's do a Carpet Fest. Let's do a Carpet Fest. And it was like, man, you guys just talk. Let's do it. You know, like, and that's how it came about. It was just like, yeah, we're just going to do this. I don't know if it's going to work. Let's see if it works.
Where was the first Carpet Fest at?
Maryland.
Wow.
That was sort of a Morelia. To be honest, there was more chondro people there than there were carpet people.
What year was it?
2012.
Wow. 2012 was the very first Carpet Fest?
Yeah.
Holy shit. I thought it was like 2015 was the first one. 2012.
2012. Yeah.
Dude, how many people were there? Do you remember?
Maybe 20 at the first one.
Okay.
I think the last one we did probably, I don't know, 100, 150, maybe.
We have Buddy Bashimi in the building. Shout out to Buddy. He just dropped a super chat. But Buddy.
Yeah, it's funny. You talk about animals that you let go away, right? Buddy is there. And that was my first So we're doing an auction for US ARC and whatever. And, you know, we get to the final thing. And here it is this yellow Biak chondro. It's completely yellow, 100% yellow. And I was like, I don't know. Should I get it? Should I not get it? So I end up getting it. And I'm over the moon about it. And then turns out that this other kid that I knew, his name is Zach, he was looking to get into chondros. And he offered me this red carpet tiger to trade. And I was like, oh, I don't know, man. I don't know. So here I ended up trading that snake, and Buddy was so mad at me. He's like, what are you doing? This snake ended up, it had like 3 green scales on it. It was completely yellow.
And yellow?
Yellow. 100%. Yeah. but it didn't fit. You know, it was like, it's like, oh, I don't know, man. It's like, this can fit into the projects that I'm doing. And this is the perfect animal for my carpet pythons. And then, you know, I traded over the yellow one. I love yellow chondros.
Yeah.
I like, you know, like the yellow and green look. I guess they're like lemon tree, I guess was the line.
High yellow stuff.
Yeah. So, but I like that stuff.
I mean, since you brought up chondros, what's your take on people like Ryan Young who are just fucking designer bashers? Like this guy, he has something. He has something on his fucking dick about red neonates, bro. He just, I don't know what it is. And if you say the word super red, he'll fucking block you. He'll unfriend you. Like it's not cool. But
I might lose some friends in the chondro world, but I'm like a huge fan of Ryan Young, and
I love Ryan Young.
I love what he does, man. I love the fact that he's into the localities, and that's my lane, you know. So I saw that whole thing of red and yellow and all that, and everybody's going back and forth and fighting each other over it.
I mean, dude, he was doing some crazy flexing on his page. He kept showing some fucking crazy looking, beautiful like stuff that he's produced that were all yellow neonates. He was just like, here's another yellow, here's another yellow, and but we're talking like no designer line whatsoever, just really amazing pure localities that he's been able to accomplish over the last fucking 20, 30 plus years. You're old,
I guess I've always been a fence rider when it comes to that kind of stuff. Like I do understand and appreciate and admire a lot of, like, I remember when we went to Carpet Fest at Bill's house, and it was when he produced The Sickness, and it was like, is that even real? Like, what the fuck? I don't, you know, but yeah, I don't know. I can get it, but I'm more into the green. Like, to me, the perfect chondro is a green snake with a white stripe.
Right.
That's money to me right there.
Because, you know, because I always like, I don't know where I said it, but I was like, oh my God, like my goal would be like a black chondro. And he's like, why the fuck would you want? Like, he's like, how do you say you're a green tree python lover if you want a fucking black snake? Like, you know what I'm saying? And so like, I get where he's coming from. You know what I'm saying? But also like, I'm not part of his era, unfortunately. But also fortunately, man, I'm a noob, man. You know, and I love this designer shit. Like, it's like,
yeah,
it's amazing, but also I appreciate, because my whole foundation with chondros, I have over 20 chondros, but I would say all foundation from imports. Like I have a lot of pure, beautiful BX. I have monoquaries. I have my shit whole is all built off pure localities. So I love localities, but my vision is putting all this shit in crossed with each other. And
sure,
I mean, so, but to each their own again, like, you know, hey, don't hate Ryan. You know what I'm saying? But like, so but what was it about you never wanting to get into chondros? Just like, you just never felt
man. I've had so many chondros. It's just that I haven't, I don't know. It's just, so, you know, one of the things that humbled me back in the early days was like, I always just approach python keeping as if it's a python, and they're all kind of the same. Couldn't be farther from the truth. And how you keep them. And I think I was just terrible at probably humidity and hydration. Like I just approached it, you know, not that I didn't, you know, give them water or anything like that. It wasn't that. I don't know if at the time there was like this whole thing about spraying or not spraying, and people were saying that's, you know, don't miss them or whatever. And this is sort of the thing that I've learned doing NPR over the years. It's like people look at this little tiny snapshot of like how somebody keeps, but they're not like zooming out to sort of look at like, what is their room like? Is there room on the bottom floor? Is there room a basement? Is there room have windows? Does it, you know, like all these different scenarios that can affect how you keep. I'm going to give them a go again, because I think I know where I was wrong, but
it's cool to hear.
Yeah. At some point I'll probably buy them from Ryan localities.
You know, because you have people who make their exit and never come back when it comes to chondros, you know, all because, you know, they could do a fucking number on you. But it's all about just kind of letting that shit brush off your shoulders, even though it's a lot easier said than done, because, you know, some people go right in. They'll fucking, like I said, I was able, because I didn't have money first and foremost. So I got what I could afford.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that's a good thing, right? Because like there's people who just 4 or 5K first chondro, and it's like, whew, man, like, You know, and they keep it right under their AC unit, and it's like, oh my god,
yeah. What are you doing?
And they're like, you know, and here's the thing, like this is why I love the chondro community and people for the most part who are selling them, because these people will not let a chondro go if it's not fucking eating like a champion. Like this is kind of like a badge of honor. Like you let a chondro go, that thing's gonna be in the best shape, right? Yeah. So if it's not eating for you, there's an issue, right? And so it was always easy, like if it's either my Patreon members or one of my friends to like come to me and they're like, yeah, I just got a snake from so-and-so and it's not eating. And I'm like, well, where do you keep it? Or like, what's going on with it? And it's easy to determine like the one small thing that you're doing to fuck everything up, right? Yeah. But once you adjust everything, you get it going, it's fucking easy. It's like chondros are beautiful. They're so easy to keep. Yeah,
that's what I hear from everybody. They say all the time, they're so easy to keep. I'm like, well, what the fuck am I doing? Yeah, so I don't know. I'm gonna, like I said, I will give them a go again at some point. And that's another thing. I think over the years, I've really made a focus this year to sort of make sure that we include chondro chat in the in NPR, because for a long time I kind of felt when GTP Keeper Radio came along, it's like, okay, they got the chondros of Morelia and we're doing the carpet side of it. But I don't know. Again, it's what I'm interested in, because I would love to go see them in the wild. We're sort of like looking at that trip to put that together and whatnot. So there's a lot of research that goes into that and where to find them and when to find them and all that. Could you imagine seeing a green tree in the wild? Like, what the oh man,
it's huge goal of mine. But also I know I'm a little prissy bitch sometimes. Like I know that you're about to get into some fucking crazy conditions where there's no fucking hot shower, like there's no like kicking your feet up in a sense unless you're in mud, you know what I'm saying? And like and like, that's why I don't call myself a herper, bro. Like you want me to go in the middle of a desert and go pitch a tent and like be there for no, dude. Fuck, I keep cool shit. I'm gonna be in my AC, like I'm good. You know what I mean? But I respect the people who are like that. But I will say I'm willing, like I am willing to fucking all to see a green tree or an emerald tree in the wild. Yeah, I do want that.
Yeah, man.
Especially Australia. Like I want to see a lace monitor really bad in the wild. I really do.
Yeah. It's cool. I can tell you.
I'm just not ready yet. I'm just not ready yet.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing about Australia, man. It's kind of like being in the US only with cooler animals. It's like it's very similar as opposed to like if you're going to Indonesia or something like that. It's kind of, like when we were talking to William about him going to see retics in Timor. So it was like he's on a boat, similar to what you're saying. But when we were in Australia, like we're staying at Airbnbs. We're not sleeping in the desert or anything like that. So,
no, that's what I'm saying. Australia doesn't, I'm not worried about Australia. It's the Indo, like it's like the cuts and the tribe men's and shit. And some of the people you have to kind of link up with. Yeah. Or like even like down in, in Peru and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
sure. Yeah.
Shout out to Blake, man. I don't know. You know who Blake is? Blakey 2-inch. Shout out to Blakey. But his whole life is down there now. His whole career is down there. And I love following him and just seeing what he's doing down there. But holy shit, as he transitioned, like he's tapped over to the other side for sure.
Yeah.
As far as like the love of keeping animals, like he's out there,
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think you graduate into that, I suppose, over the other thing that we're doing when COVID happened, we couldn't get over to Australia. So we figured, well, let's see all the rattlesnakes in the US. I think I'm up to like maybe 18, I guess.
Nice. You've done work over here in like SoCal and Baja already?
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Have you been to San Diego?
Yeah. We're actually going in 3 weeks. I'll be back there again. Yeah.
Oh, where are you going?
We're going. I don't.
What's your plan? Sorry, I don't mean to get personal.
I don't know 100%. Like, I didn't get the itinerary yet. Rob usually does the itineraries for the U.S. and he does all the itineraries. But I know we're going to look for rattlesnakes. I know that. But I think I can't remember the area that we were in.
Maybe Borrego Springs, probably.
Yeah, that's it. Yep.
Yeah, that's like 2 hours for me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm in San Diego. Yeah, so San Diego. I'm like 20 minutes from the San Diego airport.
Okay.
What's funny? I was just talking to Ryan Young because Ryan Young's. I have this event that I throw for my Patreon members every year. It's called Trap Fest. And Ryan Young, Marshall Mendes, one of the few people who are coming for the event. And Ryan's like, I guess the only thing about Ryan, if he comes, we have to go fucking to that spot. And I'm like, dude, we can make it happen, bro. I promise. And so, you know, I looked it up real quick and showed him. I'm like, it's only 2 hours away, bro. And that's actually a spot that Brandon Wheeler, because I have like 2 herp trips under my belt, and one of them, my first, it was with Brandon Wheeler.
Okay.
And I won't.
That was a good time.
It was a good time, but it was like I ended up falling asleep, and all that was waking me up was someone slamming the brakes and my head hitting the back of a fucking seat. And, and we're running out, and we're seeing a stick bug, and I'm just like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" I was like, "This is the 5th stick bug. Are you shitting me?" You know what I mean? But we saw a sidewinder. We saw one sidewinder right off the bat, which was kind of worth it after that, to be honest. But anyways, yeah, that's awesome. Cool. So how many in your group, or is it like something you guys usually plan on doing so many times of the year, or what's going on with this?
Yeah, we usually do we do 1 Australia trip a year, and then we usually do probably 4 US trips.
Nice.
I think at some point we'll probably go to like Costa Rica and South America at some point, but like Australia is kind of like my spot. You talk about scrubs. We saw scrubs the first time I was there. I was in Tully Gorge. This beautiful scrub is just climbing up a tree, holding it. I was like, oh shit, this is so cool, you know? And then later on, we're driving down the road, and there was this huge, I think it was probably 8 foot, and it's climbing along the fence of these people's houses. It's just climbing along the fence. Rob stops the car real quick, jumps out, runs down the road, and here he comes back with this big ass scrub python. I was like, holy shit. Yeah, it was so awesome.
Okay, you know my rant I just went on about Steven having a bunch of scrubs, and even myself, and knowing that they're not all aggressive. So what's the overall scrub experience been like in the wild? Like what's the demeanor been like? Any of them like want to fuck you up? Like, let's kind of talk about what you've seen about a scrub in a wild.
Well, the first one we saw was smaller, and it was chill as could be. No aggression at all. The second one, it was chill, but man, when that head swung around and looked at you in the face, it was pretty intimidating. It was like, you know, that big, just like looking right at your face. It did end up taking a shot at Rob. It bit him in the foot. But you know, they weren't crazy.
Are we talking about Rob Christensen? Which Rob are we talking
about?
Rob Stone. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So Rob Stone. All right.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know, man. I think they're no different than a carpet, in my opinion. I got bit more by the carpet than I did by the scrub. That fucking carpet tore me up.
I've seen more pissed off carpets than I have scrubs altogether.
Yeah,
like, I'm just talking about in captivity, like in people's collections. You know, and like, you know, I would say I don't know how bad an adult scrub python bite can be, but I've been bit by a big I've been bit by a carpet. I've been bit by a big carpet before, and I was okay. Like it was almost relatable to a chondro bite. It wasn't nothing that wild. And
nothing crazy.
And is that how it is even as they're adults? Like do their teeth get to a point where they could do some damage to you?
Well, I mean, there was a guy. Well, so if you're seeing them in the wild, like especially the ones that are down like the southern coastals, like there's a couple of snake catchers that I follow, and the one guy he got bit by one, and he had to get stitches. It tore his ligaments and his like tendons in his hand and shit. Yeah, it did some damage. So, yeah, they can, but those they're not the same as what we have in the U.S. as far as coastal carpets go, because those things get big.
They're
like
giant.
10
Don't they eat kangaroos and shit? Like I could have sworn I've seen a coastal or a huge fucking carpet out in Australia digesting like a little kangaroo.
Possums and stuff. Yeah. Wallabies. Yeah, they'll eat that. Yep, 100%.
Fucking crazy.
Yeah, no doubt.
What about the bugs and shit in Australia? Aren't they ginormous? Like, isn't like everything bigger in Australia, like insect wise and animal wise?
No, the only thing that I've been freaked out about in Australia was this thing called the stinging tree. And apparently it's also called the suicide tree. So if you touch it, the needle, there's like some kind of like needles or something that's on the leaves, and it hurts so bad for so long that people have actually killed themselves because it's that, like, the pain is that intense.
Bro, how do you know about these trees? Are they like pines or like, what do you?
No, no.
What?
Somebody told us about them. Like, stay away from this tree. Yeah, we try to research pretty hard about what we're going into, but yeah.
Any close calls?
We had a close call with a cassowary.
Wow, no way, dude. That's my favorite bird on earth. Like, that's my dream. My wife says never ever, but I'm just saying, like, in a perfect world, I would have one.
It's a dinosaur. Yeah.
Nuts.
Yeah, we were up in Cairns, and we're driving, we were looking for scrubs, and there's all these signs for cassowaries and watch the cassowaries and stuff, and we're kind of looking at it. We're like, yeah, okay, I guess it's like deers in the US or something.
You're like, yeah, I wish. Like,
yeah, that would be cool to see.
yeah.
So we stop at the spot. We're gonna walk this trail. So Rob goes ahead of us, and me and this other guy, Chris, we were getting our cameras out of the car and whatnot and getting ready. And all we hear is, guys, freeze. And here's this freaking cassowary that comes walking by, and it's looking at us. And these two little chicks, which is usually when they will attack you, is when they have the male is taking care of the chicks or whatever. So the two little chicks start walking towards Rob, and we're like, oh shit, what do we do? So we just kind of dove into the bushes, like, oh shit, what do we do? There was another time where when we were in the Northern Territory, we were at this beach, and it's like saltwater crocodile infested. And as we're walking out along the beach, we started to sink into the beach. And I'm like, man, if we sink all the way down and a croc comes running out, we're done.
Dude, done.
It's game over. So we got out of there real quick.
Another thing that's kind of paused my travels, I'm not gonna lie, is like, power of the internet and fucking Instagram. You see everything now. Like, you see people recording just a normal fucking local right there swimming in the river, and it's gone like by fucking, and it's like, holy shit, like not even them saw it coming, and they lived there. You know what I'm saying? And it's no joke. Like, you got
we went to this.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good. No, you're good. You're good.
I was gonna say we went to Croc Cove, and they have that thing where it's the cage of death, where they put you in like that cylinder thing, and they drop you down into the saltwater croc thing. What was cool about that though? We're standing there, and me and Owen are getting ready to go into this thing, and the two girls that were like, getting us ready and talking to us about it or whatever, they see Owen has this. He loves rough scale pythons, and he has this tattoo of a rough scale, and she's like, "Oh, that's nice. You have a rough scale," and he's like. So he says, yeah. So she recognizes his voice, and she's like, are you the guys from NPR? I was like, no shit. What the
wow.
How does that even happen? So that was pretty cool.
That's epic. Damn. Yeah. That's really cool. Overall, like, what's your take on venomous? Like, is that an important species for you to, I know you said Costa Rica, and I'm assuming to go look at venomous, right? Or
boas.
Boas. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So venomous is like whatever to you, or is that something that you like to go look at in the wild as well?
I like seeing rattlesnake. Yeah, I'll look at any snake in the wild. I think for me, venomous. So I got into reptiles from my dad when I was like 5 years old, and it's like been a thing with him. It was like all the time. Reptiles was our sort of our thing we did together. And I never forget, he brought these two Western Diamondbacks home. I was just amazed. I'm like, holy shit, that's a rattlesnake. And I'm just staring at the glasses and then he went crazy, man. He had all types of rattlesnakes, pit vipers, cobras, so I grew up with all that stuff. And
wow.
I don't know. I kind of look at it as like, it's nice to look at, but I like playing guitar in my hands.
That's thank you. Like, it's almost like I would love a sick ass, either freshwater or a tank of fish. You know what I'm saying? Like,
sure.
I look at the venomous like something like, man, I really like observing this, but at the end of the day, I can't put my hands on it. I like touching things. Like, that's just my thing. Yeah. And I guess it's just like with the venomous, I just feel like, what's funny you said about you growing up with them. I had my initial reptile experience of what like sewed into my brain, and I never forgot about that, was when I was 6 years old on my uncle's property. He lived in Pennsylvania. He's no longer with us. I think died like, I don't know how many years ago. Anyways, he had this acres of land in Pennsylvania where he kept all this crazy fucking like exotic animals. And then he had this one house that was just devoted to reptiles. Like every room.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was crazy, but it was also very creepy. But also like interesting, right? And so, mind you, my first time there, like they let me just go run around, and so I'm like running around, and so I'm like, ooh, what's in here? And then I'm realizing, like, even at 6 years old, I'm like, shouldn't somebody be with me? Like, I feel like I'm like opening up the doors, and then like you just hear things, and like it's hot, and I'm like, so what's in here? So I remember just opening up doors. I remember seeing chain link fences. Like when you see them, I'm like, what's in there? And I remember seeing he had a huge anaconda in one of them. And I remember just staring in the fence like, oh my God.
Right.
Then he had this other room that was like an outhouse. And mind you, I open it, shut the door, and all I hear is and I'm like, oh, and so I find the light switch, and it's a room that's like a small room, and like the cages make it to where they're all like it's close and tight in there. All rattlesnakes, cobras, like it was his venomous room. Like I couldn't believe it. And so I was in there for I don't know how long. And I think at that time they're all looking for me. They're like, oh my God, where is he? You know? and I'm just in there just like tapping the glass. They're just smashing the glass. And I just couldn't believe like that moment. Like I was like, dude, these things, I'm pretty sure these could kill me. Like I remember knowing what a rattlesnake was at that point, you know, and they were all like, he had at least 100 in that room, dude.
Oh,
and then he had one of those tubs full of fucking those dwarf caimans. Like he had a bunch of he had like 6 or 7 caimans just swimming around in a tub. It was like one of those typical.
Sounds like my dad.
like how they kept it back in the day. It's like no one gave a fuck. Like who's gonna stop them? There's no social media police or anything. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I was like, holy. And then so 6 years old till I was about 15 years old, I went there every summer, and I just I started getting a little bit more wiser and stuff. But like, dude, my whole obsession was that. Like, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, I think my obsession with pythons came from, so my dad was keeping snakes, and he was like, "Okay, you want to get a snake?" So I think the first snake I got was some kind of rat snake of some sort. Maybe it was a yellow rat or something, and I liked it. It was cool, but I wanted a python. And I remember going to this place that's Martin's Aquarium, and they had this cage, and in the cage was this clutch of eggs, and the Burmese python was hatching out, and I had such an imprint on me. Like, I'm just like, wait a minute, that's hatching out of the egg. What the hell? This is so cool. Oh my God. It's like my mind was blown. And I think that's what imprinted on me with pythons. And it's sort of my go-to is pythons.
Yeah. I mean, that's my happy place is pythons. Like, everything started was a ball python. That was my very first snake, that like my mom would allow. I remember, I think my dad bought it anyways. My mom said no, clearly said no. And I remember my dad's that type of thing. He just did it anyways. And I'm thankful for it. But yeah, I just like working with stuff that is easy to pull other people in, you know? And that's why, I love the retics, Eric, but I'm like, how am I going to okay, let's think about this, right? Because I want to breed. If I'm keeping, I want to breed.
Sure.
But let's think about the average person, okay? Taking on.
Do it.
No, dude, let's fucking be real. And then you hear hacks of what they do. They freeze the eggs or they just kill it. And I'm like, I'm not fucking going down that route, dude. Like, I don't want to work with shit that is that it gets to that point where you don't know what to do with it. Like, that is stupid to me. I just thought that was so dumb to even want to even dabble into something like that, So I don't know. I just know that there's other cool stuff out there that is not so much of a life-changing, pivot to have to keep. Like, you could just keep it, for what it is, I don't know. And then also, good.
When my dad had retics back in the day, I mean, this is in the 80s, and they were wild retics, and they were vicious, man. They were straight up mainland vicious retics. And I'm like, nah, I don't want nothing with that, but
I mean, you see it out there now. Like, a lot of the people who've been keeping these for a long time still have these F1s and like big fucking female, like Jay from fucking Prehistoric. Look at the fucking gigantic evil fucking snakes that he has. You know what I'm saying? Some of the big ones that just want to kill anything. And I've been in that room before. I've seen the shit that he has is like, like old and just mean. And it's like, yeah, I'm thinking about how years this fucking prehistoric goddamn thing has been here. You know what I'm saying? Just
right.
And it takes a while to get them out of that as far as they're in their bloodline. You know what I'm saying? And I know this because I got this girl right here that I have is a 50% super dwarf who her mom was a pure F1. And the guy who bred this snake told me how fucking crazy the mom was. And it's like, You know, when we're talking something first generation like that, dude, it just tells you how these things are in the wild, and they don't fuck around. Like they are out there to survive, and they will take anything out. They eat each other. They don't give a fuck. Like, you know, like anything could go down, you know. But it's just not an average snake, Eric. It's not.
No.
It sucks. I wish it was, you know. I wish it was like a
beautiful.
Snake. Yeah, they're so amazing.
Yeah. They're probably, I think probably one of the prettiest pythons, you know, just natural version of it. It's just like the iridescence, the pattern, the different colors that are on it, the orange eyes, you know.
They look at you that the way that I move, it's
amazing animals.
I'll never, when I first saw that, like, you know, I remember staring. I remember I was just high in my room one time, and I had the retic out, and I was staring super hard at its pupil, and then it like looked at me, and I was like. And I was like, holy shit. And I started paying attention. I'm like, dude, they do that a lot. Like they move their whole, like you can see their pupil move. And it's like that, you don't see that in a ball python, no offense, but you don't. And so that's what made me love. I would say retics probably made me want to understand that there's so many other species out there that you don't realize that will pay attention to you. Like scrubs. Like scrubs, they're not scared of you. Like a scrub will come straight to your face and be like, and it'll just sit there like this, just looking at you. And you're like, holy shit. And they're just observing you, just checking you out, you know? But it's just like, I just wish it was for the average person. I really do.
Yeah, it's a shame. But yeah, I don't know. That's sort of like why I got out of the big snakes. I had African rocks, I had Apodora, I had retics, I had berms, I had the dwarf berms, I had but I don't know. I just realized that it's like that's a lot of space. You know, when you're buying it when it's small, it's a lot of space, you know, and that means I'm going to have to cut other things out. And I just didn't want to do that. So that's why I sort of moved away from the idea. It was a great idea to, you know, and more power to Ryan, because he's done an amazing job with trying to, I mean, he just bred Apodora today, right? And he just got a clutch. So
mark that on the list. Attaboy, Ryan.
Yep.
I think he broke 30, right? Are you in your 30s now, Ryan? Correct me if I'm wrong, or just shy of 30 species bred in captivity in his private sector, which is the most.
That's amazing.
That's the most. I don't think anyone has done more than that.
Yeah, I think the Barkers were probably, but he's beat the Barkers a while ago, you know. So I think he's the guy, you know, he's the python guy now. So
not a designer guy, unfortunately.
As long as they're yellow, he's in.
No, not even. Dude, no, that he'll turn on a yellow if he knows it's designer. If he knows, if they don't belong together, he don't want it. He don't.
Right.
Dude, he'll quickly look the other way.
You know, it's sort of the same thing we have with carpets. For a long time, I had that thing, and you know, really, I was doing it because of morphs. So you're crossing subspecies and stuff, and
yeah. And you know, me and Ryan had that talk. Like he's the one that first broke it down, because you know the thing about Carpondros, right? And I think mainly Gary's the biggest push on, you know, Jesus hate Carpondros. But dude, it's no different. Like it's no fucking different from my designer love. And the way he told me, he's like, you know, because he saw me just Googling over all Bill's stuff, right?
Yeah.
And then like a Carpondro topic came up, and I think I clowned it or I said something, and Ryan's like, you know, fucking that whole designer shit that you're about it's the exact same thing here, right? And I'm like, no, it's not. And he's like, yes, it is. I'm like, dude, you're tripping. And he's like, no. And dude, so we sat down and we talked for a while, and he broke it all down for me. Yeah. And I'm like, holy shit. So really, dude, Gary, I love you, buddy. I don't see a problem with Carpondros. I really don't. If I want to be real right now, if that's the same aspect here that we're talking about, then I don't see nothing, because I think I've seen some Carpondros out there that look like goddamn, holy shit, what the hell is this, you know? And so I can't really say or knock anyone out there who wants to dabble into that, but I do want to say this: if you are going to work Carpondros, you have better had success in carpets or chondros first. If you just go straight to Carpondros, you're a piece of shit. You are. I feel like you should be like really established first, and then like, okay, let me check this out because I'm bored or something.
Right.
But if you're like, let me fucking be Mr. Hybrid, you're an asshole.
Just doing it right from the gate.
Yeah, you have no respect for nothing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, that's a trip, and but also why I love this, man. There's so much to learn still, you know, and just so much to grasp and understand, and you know, to each their own. You know, everyone has their boat that they like to row their passion in, and but I will say I have a huge love for keeping stuff pure in a sense.
Yeah,
but
me too.
2024, man. I also just like two genders, but at the end of the day, the fuck, what do we look at us? You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
right.
So we have to just have fun with what we have, you know? And
Yeah, 100%.
you know, Bill Stiegel he actually just bought a 75% chondro, 25% carpet recently.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He's saying fuck everyone. He don't care at this point.
Bill's just burning the house down.
Yeah, he don't care. And he sent me a picture. He's like, look what I just got. I'm like, no, you didn't. And then he really just added it. And I couldn't believe it. And I was like, holy shit, good for you, man. You know
I remember I don't know if he still has it, but he had this, it was like it kind of looked like a jungle carpet.
No, he still has it. He has that.
He does? Yeah. Still has that snake? Okay.
Yep. He loves that thing. I mean, that's one of the biggest things to, you know, people see that in his room before they actually hit the Neo room and are just like, whoa, look at this thing, you know? And it's an impressive fucking animal. It really is, you know? But also, like, we got to give a lot of credit to the carpet too, man. Like, that's, you know, I'll never forget who's at table. They're no longer around. Psychotic Exotics. Is that them?
Yeah.
Dude, that was when I was, you know, because I remember on that verge of like, okay, I have ball pythons, but I want something else really, really bad. And I will never forget that tape. Their table at Pomona Reptile Super Shows, I would just be there.
Some sick shit.
Dude, I'm like, what is like the vibrant yellow and black and like their exantic shit. And I'm just like, dude, this is fucking nuts. And then I remember I never saw their table again. I was like, well, that's a sign. You know what happened to them or what? Like,
I think because Kerry, he moved to New York, I think it was. And he sold his place and all that, and he got out. You know, I don't know. I'm assuming I think he retired from Slayer, and I think that was he wanted to move to New York. You know, I can't. Do you have do you ever think about? I mean, I know you're younger than me, but like, do you ever think about like, will there ever be a time where you don't have snakes or reptiles?
I think about it. Yeah. I mean, when we're more tapped into space and shit, like when I feel like when we're like kind of more interested in what's happening off this planet, I don't know. I feel like, you know, also too, like the way restrictions are increasing to the point where now you're hearing people's houses getting seized and stuff like that. Like that's fucking nuts. Like whatever's happening in some small hick fucking town, that's just the start where it's going to eventually be everywhere. That's just the truth. Like it's just kind of, that's what's scary. It's just a matter of like, will I be around before it hits me? Like, I don't know. But also like, I want to pass it down to my son or somebody someday. And like, and now I'm going to put that on his shoulders. Like, I feel at some point, fuck, what are we going to do with all this stuff if we can't have it, you know? But that's why you keep it for why you love it. And I will tell you right now, if that were to go down, even though it would become like the fucking cocaine or drug game, if that's the case, but like, I'm so happy keeping everything that I have right now. Like, okay, maybe I have a couple more things I need to get rid of. But once they're gone, like, go ahead. Like, I'm so happy with this. Like, and that's why I focused on that over a year or 2 years ago. That's when I started dialing down my ball pythons, because a lot of it was just mainly because I was trying to chase the dream and make this money. But like, I'm just really less is more at this point, and just being very, you know, breeding for myself, and that's it. But also just in case, like, I want to be happy. Like, I want to walk in this room and not look at it as work, even though, you know, it's work, right? I get excited about every day of looking into what I'm looking into. Like, and I think you have to keep that. Like, if that, you know, if that's.
Yeah. I'm the same way where, you know, I guess I'm kind of at that point now where I don't really care about selling. Yeah. I think the other part of it is like dealing with the retail as my job, my 9 to 5. I kind of like selling to people I know, or like just I give snakes away a lot, man. I just give people snakes.
I feel that,
because I don't want to be bothered with the whole, like, I don't know. And maybe it's just because I'm like, you know, I'll scroll on Facebook and I can't make it down like 3 things without somebody saying, oh, this dude ripped me off, or this one, you know, and it's just like, I don't know, man. People are crazy today. Doing retail for anything is just insane. You know, so
isn't it crazy how the tables turn, where the reptile game, or excuse me, reptile world and hobby was for people who hate people, right? Like, it was for like like introverts.
Right.
Now, if you want to survive in the reptile game, you have to be a people person.
Yes.
Like in a sense, you're concreted, Eric. Like you created a cloth for yourself that's like, you can't take it away because you've been doing this for a long time. Right. But if you're just now coming in the social media days and nobody's known you, and it's,
you can't do it without it. Yeah.
You're fucked. And that's why you see a lot of people struggling with that as well, because You know, you've had people who've stuck things out for so many years, but they're not doing YouTube. They're not doing like small little things that the new person's doing and just marketing the shit on themselves. Like now it's a lot more than just keeping a reptile. And it used to just be about keeping a reptile. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's just a lot more than that now.
Yeah, I fought YouTube for a long time, man. I fought like to me, I was like, it's a podcast. Who listens to podcasts on YouTube, right? You know, and it was like, and then I started seeing like, you know, another one doing it and another one doing it, and I was like, well, I guess we have to fall into the line with it, and yeah, I don't know. I do video, but we only do video for the Patreon people. You know, I don't know whether that's a good move or not a good move, but that's kind of how we do it.
I mean, I think even if it doesn't feel like it's like anything that is you're gaining from, it is for people who are getting, they're the one gaining from it. Even though you don't feel like you are, it is something that you just don't really see, but it's happening. You know what I'm saying? So that's why YouTube is like, I mean, especially for you, come on, you already know you have to have YouTube, you know, because like your information is something that needs to be reached to almost anyone at that. You know, and YouTube is nowadays television, bro. Like, legit, my wife gets so mad because, like, you know, dinner will be ready, and you know, she'd like to watch something after dinner, right? And I always naturally go to YouTube, and she's like, I'm not watching any of your fucking. She's like, don't go to YouTube. She's like, I'm not watching any of your shit. I'm like, dude, come on, you don't want to see like the only one she'll watch is because, you know, she loves Brian and she'll watch a bar check. She'll watch a bar check vlog, and that's
right.
It. Like, other than that, she's like, get the fuck off YouTube, and I'm like, damn. And if it was just me there, I'd be on YouTube all day. You know what I'm saying? But that's just how it is now. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's kind of like I noticed that I was just similar to what you're saying. It was like, well, I'm always on YouTube, not necessarily just for reptiles. You know, I probably, you know, I found like a lot of Australians that are doing like field herping and stuff, so you can actually see the animals in the wild and like get this snapshot of stuff. And I was like, oh, this is cool, you know. And yeah, my wife's the same way. Like, what the hell is this? Let's watch a TV show. And I'm like, no, what are you talking about? Let's watch this. So it was kind of like, then I kind of realized like, yeah, you have to kind of do it. But I kicked and screamed into that one. Yeah.
Okay, so you told me you got divorced when you were 33, right?
Yep.
When did you remarry?
30, what was I, 37, I think. Yeah.
Okay. And how deep were you into the reptiles at 37 years old?
Pretty deep.
Okay.
Pretty deep.
And your current wife understood that, right? She understands the role when you guys got together.
Yeah, she's awesome. Yeah.
But how did she take, shout out to all the wives out there, so all the other halves, but how does she take you doing what you do, not only on a day-to-day with your job, but keeping the animals and now implementing the podcast and the radio stations? Because I know it takes everything from you. I know this firsthand, right? So was that a struggle at all, or did you have to, you know, or was she just fully like, dude, do your thing? I love that you're doing it. Like, what's been the support you've been getting from your wife?
Oh, she's great. Yeah, she knows it's my thing, and she encourages me to do it. You know, she'd be like, yeah. So she's awesome, especially Carpet Fest. 100 people at our house, people we never know, you know, don't know or whatever, and she's just like, yeah, it's great. So yeah, she's awesome.
That's why I feel like gotta ask my wife thing, that whole like whatever, like that whole thing, like, oh, gotta ask my wife whenever it comes to inquiring. That only works for so long, because if you've been around for a while and people know you, like, dude, your wife's cool as shit, you're just fucking lying to me, and you're
right.
That's why people gotta be careful out there, you know what I'm saying? Right. God damn. But dude, man, shout out to the wives, because and the other halves, because man, like, there's people out there who would love to pursue shit in this, but they're not down with it. Like, because mind you, like, you know, you got to have time for your family, you got to have time for other things. But when something is meant for you, or when there's something like when the stars align, okay, and you want to pursue it, not everyone is in the position like we've been, where the wives are like, dude, God bless, go ahead, go fucking go for it, dude. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's why it's like, you know, I'm blessed, bro, and I know you are too. Just to be able to like do something that I like. This is not about the money whatsoever. And the way I've always looked at YouTube, because I knew people making real money on YouTube, and I'm like, okay, that's never gonna, no matter how big this takes off, right? I'm never gonna have that kind of viewership, and I'm okay with that, because I'm here. I just want to learn about the animals, you know, and to this day, I don't care about how many views a certain episode gets or whatever, because it's not money. It's not paying me. And so I never gave a shit. You know what I'm saying? And so, but mind you, like it's the interaction I get with people, right? Like, I could guarantee I'm probably going to get hit up by so many people who've been fans of yours and not much fans of mine. But after this episode, after having this, it's going to connect me to a lot more people. And that's what I love, bro. Like,
Yeah.
the whole connection that you get, right? Because the biggest thing that is number one, obviously, is the reptiles, which is that's what we keep. The second thing, right, is the people, man. Knowing people that you would have never known if it wasn't for the reptiles. And I know people all around this world, bro. That's crazy. And I'm sure you do too, obviously.
Yep.
And that's why what a beautiful place to be, the reptile world.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, yeah, I agree with you 100%. It's like one of those things. I'd never look at that. Never, I'll look at it when we do like our holiday show, we do kind of like a wrap up or whatever. I'll look at the analytics of things and whatnot. And I guess like the YouTube thing, I've been looking at that just to see how it is, and sort of like, I don't know if that's good or not good. And to be honest with you, I don't care. I don't, it's not what it's about, but I can't, you're talking about people that you met. I mean, shit, man. The guy, he just passed away, Richard Ross. Like, I'm talking to him on the phone. He's texting me. This is the guy that wrote the fucking blue book that, like, it's like I would be studying that like crazy. And he's like, "Hey, Eric, what's up?" What the fuck? Like, this is nuts.
That's nuts, bro.
Talking to Mark O'Shea about rough scale pythons on his trip, and like that, none of that stuff would have had Gavin Bedford about, talking about Owen Pelly pythons in the wild, and like actually seeing him in Northern Territory and having dinner with him. And then he took us out to find carpet pythons. And it's like, this is like, dude, I don't know, man. I'm so blessed that, it's been a lot of work for a lot of years, because I do all the editing, all of that stuff. There's nobody else. It's just me. So, it's kind of like, it's a labor of love,
Yeah.
I love that people get something out of it. I love that they're taking better care of their animals, because of some little snippet or, something that they heard on the podcast, and they're like, "Oh, okay. Yeah, I was having that problem," or, "I didn't know about this species," or like diamond pythons. We just did a show on diamond pythons, and, we went down deep into it and talking about them, but like, there's such a misunderstood carpet python. And I got so many messages saying like, "Yeah, I was worried about getting into them because I heard that they're difficult and blah, blah, blah." And like, "Yeah, you broke it down, and I think I'm going to take a shot," so that's good. It's good stuff.
I would say diamonds is high on my like someday list, because I do want to, I do, man. And obviously I don't need to tell you this, but diamonds are just in a league of their own, right?
Yes.
But I also hear like, and because, if I keep diamonds at some point, I'm going to want to pair them up. Right.
Yeah.
And I hear that's where you have to be on your shit, only because, and correct me if I'm wrong, but they need to be dropped to certain temperatures when it comes to like temp cycling. And I want to know how true that is. Like, what's the word on that? Like, is that kind of what it is when people talk about that type of thing when breeding diamonds, or is it not as difficult? What has been your experience?
It's not as difficult it's not as difficult with pythons. It's just different, right? So I think the different part of it makes it seem like it's difficult. So in order to breed them, you have to drop them down to 50 degrees. It's like some people drop them down like a little below 50 or whatever, but
crazy.
It really has to do with their basking cycle. The length of, I don't think that my opinion, I don't think it's wise to keep diamond pythons on like a heat tape or heat pad or anything like that. I think they need an actual genuine basking spot, because
with the bulb, you're talking about an actual bulb.
Yeah. I just noticed when I kept them with radiant heat panels, they wouldn't go on. But now, like, I have them in exoterras and stuff, and the smaller ones, and they'll be out there before the light comes on. Then they'll go hide for the good part of the day. Then they come back right before the light's gonna go up. How the fuck do they know the light's coming on and off? I don't know. I don't understand it.
Something triggers it for sure, bro.
Yeah, sure.
I just had this conversation with Ron St. Pierre,
right?
And he was talking about how he just noticed like the natural way he missed and organically gives them raindrops. It triggers them to drink at certain times. And
yes,
these all have certain, like all these animals look for certain triggers when they know, okay, it's time to drink or it's time to do this. Right. So anyways, I just wanted to say that. Yeah.
We have this thing, we call it the cosmic octopus, right? It's sort of like, I always equated, like, when I would talk about breeding pythons, it would be like, you know, you might have, like, say there's 5 different triggers that could trigger them to breed.
Right.
Maybe you have to hit 2 of them and they'll breed, because you used to hear back in the day, some people would use light cycles and they would breed. Some people would use temperature cycles and they would breed. Some people use food cycles. Some people used all of it, but somehow they all got it to be able to do it. So to me, I think, you know, I learned this from Ryan. It's sort of like, you know, just let them settle into your rhythm. And once they get the rhythm of your room, it's sort of like, you know, they want to breed, so they'll fall into it. Now, as far as diamonds, it's just basically like that hot spot, just manipulating it in the length of time and just being able to get them down to like into 50s at night during breeding season. And they don't eat during that time. So they're great, man. They're fucking great snakes.
Yeah, I feel like I've been not on purpose, obviously, but man, over the last year, I learned so much, and I want to say mainly because of my all in the tree Tuesday night segments that I have. You know, I've had people on like, you know, Ryan Young and other people who have different waves of how they even heat anything reptile related, right?
Yeah.
And boy, man, am I just doing so much unnecessary of like leaving heat on overnight and stuff like that. Even mind you, everything I groomed myself off of came from ball pythons, right?
Sure.
Even the way I fed, which is a bad, I want to say it's bad. Like it's bad. Even people fucking feed ball pythons the way they do because they could get away with it. And also you do get good productions from it. And so it's just not a good example to base yourself off of, right? Because you're going to learn the hard way when you take that kind of mentality to another species, like you know, that is different. You're going to learn very quickly on how south things can go, right? And I don't even know where I was fucking getting with that. This happens every episode. What were we talking about right before this? I'm sorry.
You were talking about how like Ryan was teaching you with like.
Oh yes, I got it. Okay, so anyways, so one thing with the ball python like mentality that I had was because it worked for me breeding wise, I had success. Is I always left their heat tape on, like it was 87, 88, 24/7, even at night.
Right.
But then I have like white lips, and now I have other stuff that I feel like is just a whole nother fucking ball game. Or even boas, right? Like boas, you don't want to have heat on 24/7. Like they need some sort of an adjustment and then a point where it goes back up. But I feel like everything does, you know. I don't think everything needs heat, you know. And the same way everything doesn't need to be fed the way it needs to be fed, right?
Yeah.
So I think heating and feeding is like the two biggest like things that could pause everything that you're trying to do and be successful when it comes to reptiles.
Yeah, I think when you have like scrub pythons are probably a good example. I think probably the reason that people are having success now as opposed to say 10 years ago is feeding, you know, or like not looking at it like a ball python. And as far as like, okay, well, they don't do it so much anymore. I know they breed year round, but back in the day, it would be like, okay, it's November, so we're going to cool it down, where they might not go in November. You know, it's sort of like, I think this is where like the idea for me is like student of the serpent comes from. It's like paying attention to your animals and let them tell you what they want, right? An example of this is like when I first started with carpet pythons, all the time it was 90-degree hotspot, 90-degree hotspot. And that's what I kept because that's what I was told, you know, that's how it was. All pythons had to have 90-degree hotspot.
Right.
And like my carpet pythons were pushed against the front of their cages. And I'm like, well, that doesn't seem right. And I'm like, or they're in their water bowls or whatever. You know, I'm looking, is there mites? What's going on? No, none of that. Everything checks out. Okay. And then I started talking to some people and they're like, you know, there was this one guy, Luke Snell. He's like, yeah, I lowered my temperatures to like 84 as the hot spot. And I was like, I did that. And then all of a sudden they weren't plastered up against the front. So that tells me I was keeping them too hot. You know, it's just like paying attention to those little cues. And you know, again, that's where like, I think you were saying at the beginning of the show where it's like, how can you do a podcast on something you don't necessarily keep or have experience with or can relate to it in some way? It doesn't mean that you necessarily have to have that species, but if you talk about pythons, you can kind of relate to other pythons, you know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. But yeah, I lost my train of thought now. Damn it.
All right. Not the only one. All right. But to kind of like top of what you just said, like one of the I can't remember whose podcast it was. This was a long time ago, like 3 years ago. But somebody brought me on the show. It was this nice lady. She brought me on her show, and she had a chondro in that room, and she was talking about it. She was like, "It is so mean," and I'm like, I'm like, what's your temps? Like, what do you have it at? You know? And she was like in the 90s. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, okay, do this. And I told her exactly what to do. And she
Right.
did it. She did it. And within 24 hours, that thing stopped fucking striking at her. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, a lot of these times people don't realize that this mean chondro or this mean emerald or this mean carpet, they're mean because they're super fucking uncomfortable. You're probably cooking it and you have no idea. You know what I'm saying? And also I learned, because I said even, shout out to the sponsor of tonight's episode, Elijah Armis from Juggernaut Reptiles. But I remember when I first got into bloods and
same thing.
I tried keeping bloods like my ball pythons.
Yeah.
Dude, you get a fucking big blood that's pissed off.
Yeah, me too.
So I was like, is this how it's gonna be forever? Like this is scary. Like, dude, this like
those things just project at you, you know.
Taking the whole rack. Like I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And then once I put them on the lower end and I lowered everything, dude, they were a whole nother baby. Like I was like, dude, this is epic. So
yeah,
it all comes with learning, you know. But the thing is, like, you gotta want to learn. And a lot of people take advice or even a little bit of criticism as like, oh yeah, you're attacking me. But like, dude, everyone is wrong at some point keeping reptiles. Everyone fails. Like even your mentor still learns shit every year. That's why there's really no know-it-all in a sense.
No.
And that's a beautiful place to be when you're also in a, like, you're safe. Like wherever you fucked up at, someone's done that already. Like, and it's okay to talk about. Like,
sure. Yeah. I fucked up. Well, I fucked up chondros. Again, it was sort of like, those things, and maybe it's a species that, like I said, I think I'll give it a go at one point, but, it's just this, like I said, I think my idea is that you just keep all pythons the same, but like ball pythons are not the same as carpet pythons, and they're not the same as savu pythons, and it's different than a chondro, and it's different than a short tail. They're just different,
Yeah, and they can handle neglect really well. That's why another thing too, man. Like you got people who only keep ball pythons because guess what? That's the only thing they could keep alive. Like that's like anything else that they've tried, they fucked up, and also like once you're good at something and it makes you money, like. Which is also not a good, habit to have, but you're like, why fuck a machine that's already working good on its own? Like, it's kind of like, and ball pythons could become a well-tuned machine where not much you need to do, but just stick to the program and you're going to get great success. Even if you fucking happen to be a guy who just doesn't change his husbandry when he can, you got mites. Okay. A customer don't see the mites on the baby. So you're okay there, but there's just so much like trashy little things you can get away with just keeping ball pythons that unfortunately people get habits from, and they don't want to, they're lazy. They just become lazy after a while. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's like, they're not, I don't know. For me, a lot of what attracts me to doing the podcast too is like that constant need to learn about something to be able to talk about it, so it's like constantly like trying to, read this scientific paper that you're sort of like, your mind is like, I can't even understand this. Hold on. Let me take this sentence by sentence and what, like those kind of things. And it's just, I feel like I'm at the point now where it's like, what's that thing where you like, you thought you knew a lot, and then you realize you get to this point where you realize how much you don't know. Like you come to this, you're like, oh, I don't know anything, So,
yeah. I mean, that was the biggest thing Forrest used to tell me. Like he would like see me get all worked up and like kind of want to go on rants on shit that like for him, he was like, dude, 10 years ago, I used to care about this shit. But now it's like, and he used to tell me like, bro, in a few years, you're going to look at everything that you're kind of getting worked up about. And you're going to laugh at yourself. Cause a lot of this shit that you're all like gassed up about, it's been around. There's nothing you could do about it. Like you just progress. Like it's all about finding what you can do better under your control. Right.
Yeah.
And there's just other people out there you can't control. And it is what it is. That's why no matter who's the piece of shits are and who the best are, you get to pick who you want to stick around with,
Sure.
And I am a big believer in karma. I mean, ask Samson. Samson knows that. Like it will come around to you eventually,
Oh yeah.
And so that's why at the end, that's why I'm also like, ever since departing from wanting to bring drama to this channel, like I'm like, why even gaslight something that's going to gaslight itself? Like I don't need to start this flame when it's going to literally, it's a gasoline vehicle sparking chains in the back of its truck. That's like eventually that it's one spark is gonna, and mind you, when you're that one to spark it, you're the bad guy too sometimes. So it's like rather than put my hands up, I'd rather watch that fucking shit show happen on its own.
Right.
But man, listen, I got a wrap up question for you before we get into some hot seat questions. Okay, Eric.
Okay.
And this is something where I don't want to say I struggle with, but man, I have to, for me to really enjoy a podcast where I'm pumped up, like I knew I was going to learn a lot about you tonight. So I was, so many reasons why I was excited for tonight, right? But
okay.
It's unfortunate, but I don't have the same energy anymore with every guest, because sometimes I schedule a podcast that's more of about an important thing happening in the hobby, or if it's like, if it's somebody I've already had on a long time, but whatever, like it's a popular guest, so it brings something on, right? But I feel like I'm having to be a lot more strategic on who I bring on certain nights of the show. Like Thursday nights is my main show. That's my biggest night of the week, right?
Mm-hmm.
But do you find yourself like having to do a little bit more soul searching, or a little bit more like digging as far as guests you want to have on, or people you want to have conversations with nowadays, since you've done so much already, right?
Yeah.
Do you see yourself ending this at all, or do you feel like, nah, fuck that, I could always find a reason to keep this going, or I'm just trying to find a way how you motivate yourself to keep the torch rolling,
That's a good question. I've been at points where we were going to stop it. Luckily, I think I really would have to say that it has a lot to do with me and Owen's relationship. We sort of like keep each other up when we're down.
Right. That's good to have.
So it's awesome having him there. And I think Owen's one of those guys that doesn't get a lot of credit for what he does. I mean, he's bred white lips, rough scales, so many different colubrids, all different types of cars, like just so much stuff that he's not like a bragger per se, but like then he gets burned out, and then I have to sort of like hold him up.
Bro, you guys are almost like one person, to be honest. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I forgot there was an Eric Burke and an Eric Owen. For a long time, I thought it was one guy. I'm not fucking joking. It's crazy.
Yeah.
There's two Erics.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, man. For me, a lot of times I say it resets my soul, because I get out into nature. It doesn't even mean about finding a snake or anything like that. It's just something about me being in nature and just being there and just being in that moment. And, it gives me that like, poof, it gives me that spark to go back. I'll have sometimes where there'll be a show that I'm talking to a guest. You probably had this with Ron St. Pierre the other night from your show. It's just like, they say something and you're just like, your mind is blown. You're like, holy shit. You know what I mean?
That was Ron for sure.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. I love it though.
So that gives me and then, just getting the feedback from people is a huge one for them, saying that, again, like they'll listen to an old episode, and, like one thing we do is like a breeding episode every year, right? We've done this for 13 years. We've done a breeding episode usually as we get to November. And like, to me, it's like, I don't know. Do we still keep doing it? Like, I don't know. And I'm trying to think of new ways to do it. Like we have a show coming up in the next couple of weeks where we're talking about python eggs. And we're like talking to this guy who's done studies with all this different antaresia and maternal incubation and what's going on with the eggs. And like, here's like a little tidbit of like what he was saying about how like when the mom was like wrapped the eggs, sometimes they can suffocate them. Did you know that? I didn't know that. Like, what? Like, I just had no thought of that. So like, I don't know. It's those little things that keep me going, I guess. But yeah, burnout's a tough thing. But
that's almost in anything too, right? So it's kind of like we know we're in a place where if we kind of put our minds in the right place, we find any reason to motivate ourselves to keep doing this. Like it, because at the end of the day, it all leaks down to one thing, and that's the reptiles. And it's what we've been doing by the reptiles. And we know that a lot of stuff that we talk about needs to be talked about more, especially now in 2024 with the amount of people that are still coming into this hobby. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, it is still ball python influence, but a lot of people right now, that's not their first snake. A lot of people are getting into other stuff for their first time. That's not ball python related, because breeding is not important to them. And I think that's important too. I think the future for right now, from what I can see, is going to be in the pet industry. I think the pet keepers is our future right now, to be honest.
I have been banging this drums forever when it comes to Morelia, especially with carpets and chondros, right? I'm like, why do we focus just on breeders? Why do we not promote them as a pet snake? I mean, come on, man. A chondro is going to be perched right out in the front. They're beautiful to look at. You can have this huge, elaborate setup that looks like, you know, the Cape York Peninsula. And, you know, I don't know, man. It's just like, it's always the breeder thing. I think that's one thing too that like I'm trying to promote more is like you don't have to be a breeder. Yeah, it's cool to breed. I'm not against it or anything like that, but like you can not be a breeder and be legit.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you don't have to be a breeder to have it like a fucking stake in this hobby, you know?
Yeah, I remember when I was coming in, it was like I saw somebody like Barchek, and he's like back in those days, he had that facility and it was like 30,000 snakes, and it was like if you didn't have 30,000 snakes, you were nobody, you know. That's how it kind of felt. Yeah.
Do you even breed, bro?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's true to say, bro. Like everything has, you know, perception's everything too, right? Like you don't know until you know.
Yeah.
And so I'll tell you one thing, man. It's so true what you say. It's crazy how, you know, you love an animal like a chondro, but like it's loved not even as a breeding sense. Like it's just such an amazing piece you could at least set up properly in a living room if you know what you're doing.
Yeah,
you know
100%.
It's like a fucking aquarium or some shit. And and you know, I don't know, but like I think it's up to you to realize what you're meant to do and what you're not meant to do. And everyone out there has a responsibility to look at something and say, okay, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. And that's like the same way some people can't keep live plants. Like if you can't keep something alive, don't fucking keep it. Like just move on with your life. You know, please figure it out. But and that's the thing. Like some people want to breed so bad, but they're not meant for it. And for whatever reason, they're too busy with their lives but whatever, it's okay. Let it go. But some people just don't want to let it go. And it's like, fuck, you suck. Like, just let it go.
I have this idea. This is something that I sort of equate to it, right? It's like when you're learning to play guitar, you spend all this time to play, you know, and then you practice, you get these chops, you're crazy, whatever. And then you go on stage and you're playing with a band and you're playing the song, and all of that practicing, maybe you get a minute, right? Where the majority of the time is you're playing the rhythm and sitting in the back, right? And it's sort of like that with keeping. Like the majority of the time, you're keeping the animal. So like before we go to breed the animal, let's figure out how to keep the animal and then graduate into breeding them, you know?
Because breeding might not be in your future. If you don't know how to keep it, you know what I'm saying? Like, holy shit. Like that's like, man, and one of the biggest things, and I've seen these people get luck, unfortunately, because I hate when people get lucky when it comes to like, oh, like this is my first, I just got this, somebody sold me an adult pair of chondros. I'm going to just throw them together and see what happens. And like, sure enough, they'll get fucking eggs. And I'll be like, fuck, son of a bitch, you know? But like, you know, but eventually they will kick you in the fucking balls. Like luck will only be on your side for so long with chondros. That's the thing. You know what I'm saying? And Bill Siegel will tell you that Bill Siegel just got done telling how his first chondro clutch was a goddamn walk in the park. And he was telling himself, like, what's wrong with these chondro people? Are they fucking nuts? Like, this is fucking easy. And then the next one fucking drove him up the wall and he almost fucking wanted to kill himself. So it's like, you know, it's just a matter of time. But, you know, I would say just kind of take your time. Just take your time. That's all you got to do is just relax and really just ask people around you who's been doing it and they'll tell you, you know?
100%.
But man, I got to say, this has been an awesome time, Eric.
Man.
I want you back, bro, for sure. I feel like you and I could take this another 2 hours easily. And I'm looking forward to maybe meeting you someday. I don't know, man. Do you ever go to any RBC? I know you travel a lot, but do you ever make it to any RBCs nowadays or anything in the future? Maybe
I'd like to get back to Tinley at some point. I think maybe I'll try. I think well, for me, it's usually I'm traveling to Australia in October, so like getting off work for that is I can only take off for that time. But I was thinking about maybe like heading out to March, like one of the March ones. Cool. Just to hang out and, you know, it's been, God, I haven't been in there since 2018, but I vended there all the time. And then I just stopped. I don't know. I don't know why. Just did.
Well, check this out, man. I know you said you're going to be down here in 3 weeks. I got these VIP taco tour wristbands. And if you and your friends want to eat at some of the most amazing Mexican spots while you're in town, let me know. I'll give you my number if you guys want to go eat. I mean, Brandon Wheeler's probably going to tag along because that's what he'll do.
Okay.
We could all grub. Let me know if you guys got time. I'd love to take you to my favorite spots. I'm a big foodie, bro. Like, foodie's like my passion.
Yeah.
Other than the snakes, bro, I'm a fucking fat ass. Like, I love
like some food.
love food, man. But I really love this podcast. I really did. So thank you so much. Hot seat questions. Are you cool with that?
Yeah, man. Go for it.
All right, guys. Do me a favor. Thank you so much for everyone who's been hanging out. Get the likes up right now for Eric. Hot seat questions coming in hot. Eric, the best way to handle these, the quicker the answer, the better. All right?
Okay, right.
All right. Here we go. Hot seat questions coming in hot. Let's go. Frozen thought or live?
Frozen thought.
First thing you would feed a baby carpet python?
Hopper.
Would you ever cut a carpet egg or would you never cut a carpet egg?
Cut.
On what day?
After the other one's pip.
Considering we're talking carpets here, pre first shed meal or post first shed meal?
Post.
For a carpet you want to sell, ideally, ready after how many meals?
5.
Yay imports or boo imports?
Yay.
One import you would love to bring, one reptile you like to bring imported anywhere around the world, what would it be?
Imbricata. Morelia imbricata.
Nice. What about one reptile that you're tired of seeing imported? Like, leave it alone. Don't touch it. We don't need it.
Ooh. Well, that's a tough one. Shit. Damn, you got me on that one. I don't know.
What about a mainland? I'm just
Yeah. Damn. Shit. Sorry, man. I shit the bed on that one.
So you want to go with mainland?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, cool, sweet. To spray or mist a carpet, or to never spray or mist a carpet?
I'm gonna go spray because it depends, but yeah,
Ideal substrate for a carpet python?
Probably cocoa fiber of some sort.
Yay sports or boo sports?
Boo sports.
Wow, epic. Yay alcohol or boo alcohol?
I would say yay alcohol.
Okay. What's your favorite alcohol beverage? Like, let's say it's Carpet Fest, all the friends are there having a good time. What would be your choice beverage at that moment?
A nice cold dab beer.
Dad beer?
Dab, D-A-B.
Dab. Oh,
Like
dab beer. Oh
yeah,
my
yeah.
God. Like
Yeah.
David Brahms?
Yes.
Shout out to David Brahms. Steak or fish?
Steak.
Favorite cut of steak?
Porterhouse.
Nice. Like that. Van Halen or Sammy Hagar?
Oh, I'm gonna have to go David Lee Roth, Van Halen.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Man. Favorite genre of music?
Blues.
Nice. Dude, I got appreciation of blues because I took a jazz class for one of my ex-drug dealers. He was like trying to get education, and like he was so busy. He's like, I don't have time to take this online class. And like he made a killer deal for me if I were to pass the class for him.
No shit.
And it was about like jazz and like history of jazz music and stuff like that, and the blues.
Right.
So I remember for 6 weeks and I got an A on that shit.
There you go.
Really well. Yeah, it was so much great history on that.
Nice.
Favorite jazz artist of all time?
Jazz artist. Alan's Holdsworth.
Nice. Dude, respect. All right, little word association. Say the first thing that come to mind. You ready?
Okay.
Milk.
Lactose intolerant.
Favorite python species?
Carpets.
Substrate.
Favorite substrate? I make my own, like my own mix. Carpet, like cocoa, peat moss.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna pause just quick. So you have like your own little concoction when it comes to your substrate?
Yeah.
And is what has worked for, like, the meaning is it's just because of the humidity consistency, or like why do you do that? I'm just curious.
Something I borrowed from when I kept monitors for a bit, because they're like really geeky about substrate and stuff. And I was like, well, this looks like something I could use. I mix it with sand, and there was like some of the stuff I have that's out in the outback that has the orange. I add some iron to it that it gives it that orange look to the
Oh, that's
sand
nice.
and substrate. Yeah.
All right, I got one. How often do you replace your substrate?
Maybe every 3 months. They mean like total?
Yeah, like a complete
3 months.
change out.
Yeah, probably 3 months.
All right, back to word association. FedEx.
Late.
Favorite place to herp in the world?
Australia, Northern Territory.
If you had to get rid of one platform forever, you can never bring it back. Is it Instagram or Facebook? Which one has to go?
Facebook.
Damn. Whoa, what? Dude, what? You just said Facebook? You?
Yeah.
That's like your home turf. Like, that's where you're like,
I hate Facebook.
holy shit.
Yeah.
I could have sworn you would have said Instagram.
No.
That's wild, bro. Fuck it. I mean, I agree. Facebook's fucking shit, but it's like I hate it because I need it. Because I like I
know.
I can only stay in connection with people because of
Right.
Facebook sometimes. And so great answer. I mean, you know, it's the truth hurts sometimes, but it is what it is. And this, like I said, I can't tell you how much I love this show. We just had shy of 90 people tapped in at one point. So
nice.
what do you have to say all the love and support we had in tonight's episode? But literally, what do you have to say to all the like diehard NPR fanatics that you've had that were tapped in on tonight's show?
Oh man, I appreciate all the support that they've given us over the years, and thank you so much for listening to us and giving us a chance to sort of bring you some content to help you keep your snakes better, and hopefully we can do it another 12 years.
Fuck yeah. Now, best way for people to be on top of just all like, you know, the episodes and just maybe your own stuff that you have going on, would it be NPR Network on Instagram is the best way to follow you?
Yeah, that's gonna encompass all of it. Yes,
Everything. Okay.
Yeah.
And then obviously on YouTube as well, right?
Yeah.
And you're on all the major audio platforms. So
Yeah.
for people to subscribe, they could all do that as well. And I'm going to put all these links in the description below. That's why I'm saying that. So if anyone out there wants to just follow what Eric has been starting for how many years now? How many years has NPR been up and running now?
13
freaking years, man. Congratulations. Yeah. That's a huge accomplishment, only because we're talking 13 years of relevancy. We're not talking about, you know, you were fucking horseshit for a long time and then you got good, or the other way around. Like, bro, you're sticking to it the entire time and creating a major, huge legacy. So congratulations to you, Eric,
Thanks,
Owen, anyone a part of the NPR family. Shout out to everyone out there, and maybe help me throw some of your guys my way, man. I want to bring some more of the NPR guys here on the show and get to know them more. I feel like after knowing you, I want to get to know more of your own guys more, and just really tap in with what you guys have going on. Because like I said, man, it's all about the keepers, man, and people really doing it right. And you guys don't play over there. So I want to say thank you so much for coming on the show. But guys, give it up, please. It's a wrap for Eric Owen of NPR Network, ladies and gentlemen.
Right on.
All right, man. Hey, we'll talk again. Thank you so much. Have a good night. I appreciate it.
All right, man. All right.
Peace out. Damn, I can't believe I waited that long to bring him on the show. But also, like I said, I think the beauty of tonight's show is because I waited this long. So props to Eric Burke. Props to Eric Owen. Props to the entire NPR Network family. Dude, this was great. I easily could have gone another 2 hours. If it wasn't for me having to go to Home Depot and getting a bunch of shit because I'm sending out a bunch of snakes tomorrow, I would have kept this going for sure. But unfortunately, I got to get moving. And also, it would make the round 2 even that much more suspenseful and like worthy. And like, what did I? Oh. Anyways, guys, I had a great time. Again, thank you to all my people out there who enjoyed it. Hit that like button, please. Costs no money to hit the like button. It actually costs no money to hit the subscribe button too. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and everything will remind you about what's cracking here off on YouTube. All right. Trap Talk with MJ, Cush's Corner. All right. Tomorrow, thank God it's Colubrids. All right. It's going down every day of the week other than Sunday for now. But don't worry. Give me more time. Sunday's about to get locked in. By the way, Trap Talk Patreon family. Love you guys so much. If you're looking for exclusive content, if you want to get more out of what you see at each episode, if you want to support what I have going on, go down to the very first link, click on it, join the Trap Talk Patreon family, connect you to a Discord, also connect you to the Instagram group chat. Big things popping, all right? Big things to come with the group, the Patreon family. I love you guys. You guys are my heart. And thank you again for all the love and support in the chats. You guys are amazing. Whoever caught this live, you guys know you caught some real deal historical trap shit and NPR Network historical shit. So this was great. Cannot wait for tomorrow night. Go tap in with my boy JD and Alvaro. It's going to be epic. But you guys enjoy the rest of your night. Have a good rest of your week. Episode 473 in the books. Have a good night.